Chapter 3909. Lu Ming shook his head slightly and put these thoughts aside for the time being. Why are there no dark spirit beads? Lu Ming was a little frustrated. He had just killed at least 100 dark spirits, and he had searched each one carefully, but he did not find a single dark spirit bead. Obviously, only powerful dark spirits can have dark spirit beads. Skeletal demons said. Only powerful dark spirits can have dark spirit beads. Where can I find powerful dark spirits? Do I have to attack those stone towers? Lu Ming muttered, and then a ruthless look flashed in his eyes. It was not impossible to do that. If the three-headed lizard dark spirit had come out of the stone tower, then it was not completely impossible to deal with, and now he had an array of dark spirit beads in his hand. Lu Ming made up his mind. That was what he would do. Then, he began to look for the stone towers. Lu Ming's eyes suddenly flashed as he felt something strange ahead. He flew over and immediately found a tree. It was very tall and majestic, and a burst of vigorous life essence emanated from it. There was a fruit hanging on the branch, and the life essence was even more vigorous, as if it was about to overflow. It's a sprite tree, and the life essence is very rich. Could it be a mid-level sprite tree? Lu Ming's eyes lit up. He immediately stepped down, waved his hand, and cut the fruit open, revealing a seed inside. The rich life essence immediately burst out, and it was so rich that it could not be dispersed. The life essence was at least 10 times richer than the sprite tree he had obtained before. It's definitely a mid-level sprite tree. Lu Ming smiled and put it in a jade box. A mid-level sprite tree could be rewarded with 100 sprite wood hearts, which was a big fortune. His luck was really good. In theory, the 4th to 6th floors could breed mid-level sprite trees. But in fact, there were more low-level sprite trees on the 4th floor, and very few mid-level sprite trees. Lu Ming could only say that he was lucky to have found one so quickly. After putting it away, Lu Ming continued to look for the Dark Spirit Tower. There were many Dark Spirit Towers in the ancestral land of the elves. Not long after, Lu Ming found a Dark Spirit Tower. The Evil Spirit Tower was 1,000 meters tall, and among the trees, it stood out like a crane amongst chickens. Landing at the bottom of the Evil Spirit Tower, Lu Ming concealed his aura and moved cautiously. With a strong push, the door of the Evil Spirit Tower was pushed open. Immediately, waves of cold air came out from the tower. Boom! Lu Ming punched out, and a fist energy slammed into the Evil Spirit Tower. Lu Ming immediately retreated tens of thousands of meters away, holding the Evil Spirit bead in his hand just in case. Roar, roar, roar. Roars came from the Evil Spirit Tower, and the entire Evil Spirit Tower shook. A terrifying aura came from the Evil Spirit Tower. The terrifying evil spirit that was sleeping inside was startled and was waking up. The roaring grew louder and louder, and in the next moment, hordes of evil spirits rushed out from the Evil Spirit Tower. Among them was an evil spirit with a pair of fiendish wings. It was the most terrifying of all, and its roar was like thunder. The other evil spirits seemed to obey its orders, and roared as they charged toward Lu Ming. Kill! Lu Ming was fearless as he charged forward and fought with the evil spirits. He did not activate the power of the Evil Spirit Bead. If he could not win, it would not be too late to activate the power of the Evil Spirit Bead. These evil spirits were indeed much stronger, and Lu Ming was facing a lot of pressure. In the process of killing the evil spirits, he would be injured by the evil spirits. However, Lu Ming used this kind of battle as his training to stimulate his potential. One by one, the evil spirits were killed by Lu Ming. In the end, the evil spirit with a pair of fiendish wings could not stand it anymore. It roared and charged toward Lu Ming. Lu Ming found that the power of this evil spirit was very strong, but it was slightly weaker than the three-headed lizard evil spirit from before. Lu Ming activated the Evil Spirit Bead in his hand. The evil spirit immediately showed a look of fear, and its strength was greatly reduced. How could Lu Ming miss such an opportunity? Naturally, he launched a storm of attacks. Not long after, he successfully killed the evil spirit and finally obtained a Evil Spirit Bead. This Evil Spirit Bead was not the size of a bowl, but it was not much smaller. It was also refined into the array by the Bone Demon. With the addition of an Evil Spirit Bead, once the array was activated, the suppression effect on the evil spirits would be stronger. Not bad, continue. Lu Ming smiled and continued to look for the stone towers. One day later, Lu Ming opened a total of 5 stone towers, annihilated the evil spirits inside, and obtained 5 evil spirit beads. Together with the first one, there were a total of 6 evil spirit beads, which were very powerful. In the process, Lu Ming also found 5 low-level elven trees, which was an unexpected gain. At this time, Lu Ming found a vortex, which was the entrance to the 5th level. There were a total of 6 entrances from the 4th level to the 5th level. Now, Lu Ming had finally found Lu Ming. Since he had found the entrance, Lu Ming did not stay any longer and intended to enter the 5th level. After all, they could only stay here for 3 months. Time was limited, and they could not waste time in the low-level world. In the high-level world, finding a high-level elven tree was a reward of 1,000 elven wood cores. But at this time, a cold voice sounded. "Kid, you're not dead yet. You're really lucky." Before the voice trailed off, several figures had surrounded Lu Ming. "It's you guys." Lu Ming's eyes moved. Among these people, 2 were Ling Fei and Hua Min. At this moment, Ling Fei, Hua Min, and the others were a little surprised at first, as if they were surprised that Lu Ming was not dead. Then, cold murderous intent filled their eyes. They had been looking for elven trees and entrances for the entire day. They had just found an entrance, and they did not expect to meet Lu Ming. "Mu Yun, I have to say that you're very lucky. Under the attacks of those evil spirits, you were actually able to preserve your life. Unfortunately, your luck is not too good. We actually met you here. All right, then let me personally send you on your way. You're destined to die in my hands." Ling Fei revealed a sinister smile. "You know that I was attacked by evil spirits? It seems that those evil spirits were released by you guys from the evil spirit tower?" Lu Ming's eyes flashed as he coldly shouted, "You? What nonsense are you talking about?" Ling Fei's gaze was slightly chaotic. He did not dare to admit this point. After all, it was something that would endanger Ling Yue, so he could not leak it out. Although in his opinion, Lu Ming was dead for sure and it didn't matter if he admitted it, he still did not intend to admit it due to his cautious nature. However, from his expression, Lu Ming was 100% sure that those evil spirits were released by Ling Fei and the others. "In order to deal with me, you don't even care about the safety of your own princess. Very well, I will tell the elf patriarch the truth about this matter," Lu Ming said coldly, his eyes filled with killing intent. Chapter 39:10. When Ling Fei heard Lu Ming, he looked even more furious. He shouted furiously, "Little bastard, you dare slander me. Kill him." As soon as he finished speaking, a battle bow appeared in Ling Fei's hand. An arrow was condensed and shot out. There were 4 of them in total. Apart from Ling Fei and Hua Min, who had the strength of the 3rd godly emperor layer, the other 2 had the strength of the 2nd godly emperor layer. At that moment, the 3 of them were aiming their arrows at Lu Ming. They wanted to kill Lu Ming in one strike. They wanted to kill Lu Ming in one strike. "You want to die," shouted Lu Ming coldly. He used the Great Godly Wind technique and attacked first. His silhouette flickered as he threw himself at the 2 cultivators of the 2nd godly emperor layer. Lu Ming was extremely fast. His silhouette flickered and he appeared in front of the 2 cultivators of the 2nd godly emperor layer. The 2 cultivators were astonished. Their arrows hadn't condensed enough strength yet. They had no choice but to release their arrows. 2 arrows flew towards Lu Ming. However, in the world of the 4th level, they were greatly suppressed and could not unleash much of their abilities. Moreover, the power of the arrows had not been condensed to the maximum. Lu Ming struck out 2 consecutive palms and destroyed the 2 arrows. Following that, he struck out 2 more palms and blasted the 2 of them. The 2 young elves couldn't resist at all and were hit directly. After 2 cries of agony, the bodies of the 2 cultivators exploded and died on the spot. This time, Lu Ming wouldn't be merciful. All of this might seem slow, but it all happened in an instant. After Lu Ming killed the 2 young elves, the power of Ling Fei's and Hua Min's arrows had been condensed to the peak and were shot toward Lu Ming. Boom boom. Lu Ming's hand was like a blade, as fast as lightning. His hand was filled with forbidden strength, the Great Godly Wind technique, and the Great Godly Wind technique. After 2 explosions, the 2 arrows exploded. Lu Ming had destroyed them. Lu Ming didn't move. He was floating in the air. Ling Fei's and Hua Min's eyes widened in disbelief. How could you block my attack? How could you have killed them?" Ling Fei roared madly. Those 2 young men had the strength of the 2nd godly emperor layer, but Lu Ming had killed them in one move. He and Hua Min had the strength of the third godly emperor layer, but Lu Ming had easily blocked their attacks. Lu Ming himself was unharmed. Yes, they were greatly suppressed here. However, was Lu Ming not suppressed? Thinking of this, Ling Fei's heart shook violently. You aren't being suppressed? Ling Fei roared, feeling even more incredulous. Historically, all the elven prodigies who entered would be greatly suppressed. Moreover, in the past, the big shots of the elf race had tried to let the geniuses of other races enter, but without exception, they were all suppressed. How could Lu Ming not be suppressed? I'll send you on your way, Lu Ming said coldly. In a flash, he charged towards Ling Fei. You want to kill me? Even if you're not being suppressed, you won't be able to kill me, shouted Ling Fei furiously. He released his full strength and retreated at the same time. While retreating, he kept pulling his bowstring. In a flash, dozens of arrows were shot towards Lu Ming. At the same time, Hua Min also attacked. Dozens of arrows were also shot towards Lu Ming. The arrows whistled through the air and pierced through the air. They were terrifying, and they surrounded Lu Ming's body. Die! Shouted Lu Ming furiously. He also released his full strength and attacked the arrows. Explosions sounded everywhere. In a flash, there was a huge explosion. The trees on the ground turned into dust. To be honest, Ling Fei and Hua Min's combat power was really very strong. They had the strength of the third godly emperor layer, and they were geniuses. If they weren't being suppressed, Lu Ming wouldn't have been able to defeat them. The difference between them was too great. Even though they were being suppressed, they were still extremely strong. They put a lot of pressure on Lu Ming. However, it was only pressure. It wasn't enough to threaten Lu Ming's life. Lu Ming destroyed an arrow with one attack. He continued to attack until all the arrows were destroyed. Swoosh! Lu Ming moved towards Ling Fei and used his great godly wind technique. He quickly approached Ling Fei and punched him with the strength of a mountain. Under the attack of the great godly wind technique and the great godly wind technique, the air was crushed like tofu. Oh no! Ling Fei's expression changed drastically as he retreated frantically. At the critical moment, his entire body bent and his body was like a war bow. Suddenly, he shot out and a terrifying arrow shot toward Lu Ming. It collided with Lu Ming's attack and there was a deafening explosion. Lu Ming's body was shaking. His speed was hindered. Interesting attack. Lu Ming's eyes narrowed slightly. With such a delay, Hua Min had already reached Ling Fei's side and met up with him. The two of them drew their bows and arrow lights soared into the sky. Then, two terrifying arrows were shot toward Lu Ming again. Deflect. Lu Ming grabbed the air with his palm. Suddenly, a strong wind blew in the air. Several tornadoes swept out and rolled towards the arrows. The arrows were caught in the tornadoes. Their speed was greatly reduced and they deviated from their course. Lu Ming's body flashed and easily avoided the two arrows. He charged towards Ling Fei and Hua Min. Ling Fei and Hua Min used the same move again. They continuously shot out many arrows. They controlled the arrows like flying swords and stabbed towards Lu Ming. Unfortunately, they were greatly suppressed here. Although their attacks were launched, their power was greatly reduced. They were no longer as powerful as Lu Ming's. They were defeated by Lu Ming's continuous punches. In the sky, a strong wind blew. Tornadoes appeared out of nowhere and rolled towards Ling Fei and Hua Min. Damn it. The two of them couldn't retreat. They were caught in the tornadoes. They could only draw their bows continuously to resist the tornadoes. Swoosh! Lu Ming rushed past them. He rode the tornadoes and approached Ling Fei in an instant. He struck out with his palm. Ling Fei's expression changed drastically. He could only use his war bow to block in front of him. Dong! Lu Ming's palm landed on Ling Fei's war bow. The war bow hit Ling Fei's body. Ling Fei screamed and flew backwards. Blood spurted out from his mouth. Lu Ming had used the great fragmentation skill for this move. Cracks appeared on Ling Fei's body. He was like a broken porcelain that was about to shatter. He was tattered. Brother Fei! Hua Min screamed. He was going all out. His divine power was burning desperately. The side effect of burning with all his might was huge. He was afraid that his cultivation would stagnate or even regress in the future. However, under his desperate efforts, he was able to break through the suppression of heaven and earth. It allowed him to recover part of his strength. With a swoosh, a terrifying arrow was shot towards Lu Ming. This arrow was shot by Hua Min after he had recovered some of his strength. It was extremely terrifying. Lu Ming revealed a grave expression. His figure flashed continuously. At the same time, his palms slashed continuously. In an instant, he had unleashed 108 palms. Chapter 39:11. Lu Ming instantly slashed out 108 palms. The 108 palms were like saber lights as they continuously slashed at the arrows. Boom boom boom, the palm energy bombarded the arrows one after another, causing the sound of explosions to ring out. When the 108 palm energies were all used up, the arrow was finally blocked. However, at this time, Hua Min rushed in front of Ling Fei, hugged Ling Fei, and rushed towards the whirlpool. They knew that they were no match for Lu Ming, so they rushed towards the whirlpool. Leaving was the best plan. This place was not far from the whirlpool. At this time, Lu Ming wanted to stop them, but it was already too late. Hua Min and Ling Fei both charged into the whirlpool and disappeared. Lu Ming's eyes were cold as he rushed into the whirlpool. The next moment, he appeared in the sky above a new forest. He immediately spread out his spiritual sense, but unfortunately, he did not find any traces of Ling Fei, and Hua Min entering the next world from the same entrance would not completely appear in the same place. There would be some deviations. Obviously, the place where they appeared in the 5th level was somewhat deviated, allowing Ling Fei and Hua Min to escape. What a pity! Lu Ming shook his head. If possible, he would definitely not let the other party go. However, the place where they fought was too close to the entrance to the 5th level. In the end, he was unable to stop the other party. The suppression of the 5th level is indeed a little stronger. If I were here, I would most likely be able to kill Ling Fei and Hua Min. Lu Ming pondered, then randomly chose a direction and flew forward. The matter of Ling Fei and Hua Min could only be put aside for now. In any case, when they left the elf ancestral land, the two of them would not be able to escape death. The upper echelons of the elf race would not let them off if they deliberately let the evil spirits out to harm Ling Yue. Lu Ming still followed his previous plan. He searched for the entrance to the 6th level while looking for the elf tree species. As for the evil spirit bead, it was enough for the time being. Lu Ming did not plan to provoke the evil spirits in the evil spirit tower. Tens of thousands of miles away from Lu Ming, Ling Fei and Hua Min appeared. Damn it, damn Mu Yun, I will kill you, I will kill you. Ling Fei roared. As he roared, he spat out a mouthful of blood. Hua Min hurriedly took out a healing pill and fed it to Ling Fei. After a while, Ling Fei's complexion became better. Brother Fei, what should we do now? Once that Mu Yun finds out that we were the ones who released the evil spirit, the patriarch will definitely not let us off. Hua Min said somewhat anxiously. We must kill Mu Yun. A dead man will not leak any information. Ling Fei said through gritted teeth. His face was filled with ferocious killing intent. Kill? How could he kill them? That Mu Yun doesn't seem to be affected by the suppression of the world. We weren't his match on the 4th level, so the suppression on the 5th level is even greater. I'm afraid we won't be Mu Yun's match. Hua Min said. If we aren't a match for him, the others can take action. There are many elites from the elf tribe who are stronger than us. There are also many who want to kill Mu Yun. Let's find the others, Ling Fei said. The two of them left to look for other geniuses. Unfortunately, they didn't see any other geniuses, so they had to go to the 6th level. Finally, they met a genius from the elf clan who was stronger than them. That genius from the elf clan had the strength of the 4th godly emperor layer. His name was Hua Ding. He was terrifyingly strong. At the same level, he could compete with Hua Tian. He had the strength of the 4th godly emperor layer, but his fighting abilities were incredible. If I meet Mu Yun, I'll kill him. I don't need you to tell me, said Hua Ding indifferently. No, Mu Yun doesn't seem to be affected by the suppression of the world. If we don't go to the lower levels and kill him, when he comes up, said Ling Fei hastily. What did you say? Hua Ding looked at him coldly and said, he doesn't seem affected by the suppression of the world? Hee. Do you think I'm a 3-year-old child? Do you think I'm that easy to fool? Our ancestors in history have done countless experiments, and no one can escape the restrictions of the pressure here. No, he's really not affected, said Ling Fei hastily. All right, I have to go to the 7th level. If I'm late, someone else will get the tree. If Mu Yun dares come up, I'll kill him. said Hua Ding indifferently. Then, his silhouette flickered and he left. Damn it! That idiot wants to die! Shouted Ling Fei furiously. Brother Fei, what should we do? Nobody will believe us, said Hua Min. Ling Fei's gaze was also extremely gloomy. If they hadn't seen it with their own eyes, they wouldn't have believed that Lu Ming wasn't affected by the suppression of the world. Continue looking for others. If Mu Yun isn't affected by the suppression of the world, he'll be valuable. Someone will be interested in him, said Ling Fei coldly. After that, they continued looking for stronger geniuses. They were lucky this time. After a short time, they met another terrifying genius. It was Lin Xie, a genius from another big clan of the Elf clan. He had the strength of the fourth godly emperor layer and his chi was evil. He didn't fit in with the other elves. However, those who knew him knew how terrifying he was. Not only was he powerful, but he was also scheming and ruthless. You're saying that Mu Yun isn't affected by the ancestors' land? Lin Xie's narrow eyes shone with an evil light after hearing what Ling Fei and Hua Min said. Ling Fei and Hua Min couldn't help but feel nervous. If they had a choice, they would not have wanted to work with Lin Xie. However, their lives were at stake now, so they had to work with Lin Xie. Yes, it's true. That guy isn't affected at all on the 4th level. Otherwise, we wouldn't have been defeated by him, said Ling Fei. I hope you're not lying to me, otherwise. Ling Fei and Hua Min shuddered when they heard Lin Xie's words. It's true. We can swear, said Ling Fei immediately. Hee, not affected by the ancestors' land? Lin Xie laughed evilly. His narrow eyes were filled with greed. No matter what, he had to get the secret of why Lu Ming wasn't affected by the ancestors' land. If that was the case, he would be invincible in the ancestors' land. If he was caught off guard, he would kill all of his competitors. Moreover, he could take the elf tree in the ancestors' land. It was unimaginable. Where is he now? Asked Lin Xie. He should still be on the 5th level. If he's lucky enough to find the entrance, he might be on the 6th level, said Ling Fei. He was uncertain. Let's go to the 5th level, said Lin Xie. Chapter 39:12. At this moment, Lu Ming was indeed still in the 5th level world. The world on each level was very large and vast, but the entrances to the next level were constantly decreasing. There were only 5 entrances to the 5th level and the 6th level, so it was naturally more difficult to find them. However, in the process of searching, Lu Ming was not without gains. He obtained 9 low-level elven tree species and 1 mid-level elven tree species. It was not a small gain. Roar! At this moment, a group of evil spirits rushed towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming did not take out the evil spirit bead and directly charged over. The evil spirits on the 5th level were slightly stronger than those on the 4th level, but they did not give birth to evil spirit beads. After Lu Ming killed all of them, he stepped forward and left. 2 hours later, Lu Ming still could not find the entrance to the 6th level. During this period, he did not meet Ling Yue. However, Lu Ming was not worried about Ling Yue. As the elven royal bloodline, Ling Yue had a great deterrent effect on the evil spirits. As long as she did not go to a high-level world, she would be a great threat to her. Moreover, the other elven prodigies did not dare to make a move against her. Suddenly, Lu Ming narrowed his eyes and looked to the left. In that direction, there were a few rainbow lights flying over. It's these two again, Ling Fei, Hua Min, Lu Ming whispered. There were a total of 3 people. 2 of them were Ling Fei and Hua Min. The third was a young elf with evil eyes. This person was Lin Xie. The 3 of them were very fast. In the next moment, they appeared not far from Lu Ming. A powerful aura locked onto Lu Ming. Mu Yun, I've finally found you. Ling Fei stared at Lu Ming. The hatred in his eyes seemed to be about to materialize and rush out. It's the 2 of you again. Last time, the 2 of you escaped. You were lucky. Now, are you here to die again? Lu Ming smiled faintly, killing intent rising in his heart. He had originally wanted to kill Ling Fei and the other man, but he couldn't find them. Now that they had delivered themselves to him, he made up his mind that this time, he couldn't let them escape. Now the one who will die is you. Ling Fei shouted loudly. His aura burst forth, and his divine power condensed into a battle bow, aiming at Lu Ming. So you are Mu Yun. Very good. I heard that you are not suppressed by the ancestral land and can still maintain your strength at its peak. I am very interested in this. I don't care if you used a treasure or some secret technique. Hand it over to me and I will spare your life, Lin Xie said. Hearing this, Ling Fei and Hua Min revealed a trace of anxiety. They wanted to kill Lu Ming, not let him go. However, they dared not question Lin Xie at all. Who the hell are you? Lu Ming glared at Lin Xie and said coldly. Of course, he looked like that on the surface, but he was ready to fight because Lin Xie was giving him a lot of pressure. He understood that since this person dared to come with Ling Fei and Hua Min, he was absolutely terrifying and had enough confidence. It seems like you have a death wish. Lin Xie's face turned completely grim, and his killing intent exploded. However, he did not plan to let Lu Ming go. If he could obtain Lu Ming's method of resisting the suppression, the others could do so as well. Naturally, he had to have the method alone for it to be effective. Lu Ming was dead. The method belonged to him alone. He did not plan to let Lu Ming go. He even planned to kill Ling Fei and Hua Min after obtaining Lu Ming's method. Then, he would be the only one who knew the secret. Naturally, Ling Fei and Hua Min did not know Lin Xie's plan. Otherwise, who knew what they would think? Whoosh! At that moment, Lu Ming suddenly attacked. The one who struck first had the upper hand. Before Lin Xie attacked, he attacked first. Moreover, he unleashed his most powerful combat strength as soon as he attacked. The six-fold combat strength of the battle tactic was successfully triggered. After Lin Xie and the other two arrived, Lu Ming had already started trying to trigger the battle tactic to increase his combat strength by 6 times. Using the Greater God Wind, Lu Ming's speed was extremely fast. In a flash, he approached Lin Xie and the other two. When fighting against the elves, one must shorten the distance between both parties so that the enemy's arrows could not be fully unleashed. Boom! As soon as he got closer, Lu Ming threw a punch. The ferocious fist force swept toward Lin Xie and the other two like an avalanche. You're asking for death. Lin Xie let out a long howl and the energy in his body burst out like a volcanic eruption. The energy turned into an arrow and collided with Lu Ming's fist force. There was an earth-shattering boom. Lu Ming's fist force was completely blocked. With the help of this force, Lin Xie's body retreated rapidly. In the process of retreating, he had already formed a battle bow in his hand. Buzz buzz buzz. The sound of the bowstring vibrating could be heard continuously. Following that, terrifying arrows flew through the air and shot towards Lu Ming. In an instant, at least 100 arrows were shot towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming cast the Great Divine Wind skill and kept flashing, trying to avoid these arrows. However, these arrows seemed to have eyes and were chasing after Lu Ming relentlessly. Even with the Great Divine Wind skill, he could not shake off these arrows. In the end, he could only take them head-on. Lu Ming waved his fists continuously and threw a series of white punches, colliding with these arrows. A series of explosions could be heard. Lu Ming's body retreated rapidly. His hands were trembling non-stop. Bloody holes appeared on his fists. Blood flowed out and his bones were shattered. Lu Ming's body was also pierced by 2 arrows. In the end, he did not manage to dodge all the arrows and was hit by 2 of them. Boom! Lu Ming's body shook violently, causing the 2 arrows on his body to fall apart. As a result, he vomited a few mouthfuls of blood. How strong! 4th Godly Emperor Layer? Lu Ming said in a low voice, his expression grave. He knew Lin Xie was a cultivator of the 4th Godly Emperor Layer. He was terrifyingly strong. Even though they were on the 5th floor and the oppressive strength was stronger than on the 4th floor, Lin Xie was still stronger than Lu Ming. The 4th Godly Emperor Layer was much stronger than the 3rd Godly Emperor Layer. He could easily kill cultivators of the 3rd Godly Emperor Layer. Otherwise, Ling Fei and Hua Min would not have been so afraid of Lin Xie. As expected, he's not oppressed. Lin Xie's eyes were glowing with greed as if it was about to burst out of his eyes. Once they exchanged blows, he knew that Lu Ming was definitely not suppressed. A quasi-emperor would definitely not be able to block a single strike from him when he was being suppressed. Lu Ming could block his attack, so he was not oppressed. Mu Yun, hurry up and give me your method, then I will let you die quickly. Otherwise, I will make you beg for death. Shouted Lin Xie. You want my method? Let's see if you're strong enough. Lu Ming smiled faintly. In his mind, He was rapidly thinking of countermeasures. Chapter 39:13. You want to see what I'm capable of? I'll show you. Lin Xie roared and drew his bow again. The arrow was like a meteor chasing after the moon as it shot towards Lu Ming. We'll help you. At the same time, Ling Fei and Hua Min attacked as well. Both of their arrows shot towards Lu Ming from both sides. However, Ling Fei and Hua Min were obviously more suppressed on the 5th level. Their power was not as strong as when they were on the 4th level. Lu Ming did not take it to heart. His attention was focused on Lin Xie's attack. His body was glowing. In his cells, all the secret skills were unleashed. They turned into layers of light and covered Lu Ming's body. At the same time, Lin Xie used Grand God Wind and Grand Shatter as his main attack. Both sides exchanged blows intensely. However, even if Lu Ming used all his strength, he was still no match for Lin Xie. Unfortunately, this was only the 5th level. If they were on the 6th or even the 7th level, Lu Ming would definitely not be so passive. In the blink of an eye, both sides exchanged more than 10 blows. Lu Ming was hit by arrows again. 3 arrows. One hit his thigh, one in his dantian, and one in his chest. His dantian and chest could be said to be his vital points. However, Lu Ming was only injured. His combat strength was not weakened at all. Lu Ming used all his strength to shatter the arrows on his body and retreated quickly. You want to leave? Do you think you can? Lin Xie shouted coldly. His body was like a bolt of lightning as he chased after Lu Ming. Ling Fei and Hua Min quickly followed behind. Lu Ming's expression was calm. Seeing Lin Xie and the other two chasing after him, Lu Ming smirked. His opponents had been tricked. That was his plan. Lu Ming used Grand God Wind. His speed was so fast that Lin Xie could not catch up to him. In the blink of an eye, they were tens of thousands of miles away. Lu Ming finally stopped under a tall dark spirit tower. In the next moment, Lin Xie arrived, followed by Ling Fei and Hua Min. When the 3 of them arrived, Lu Ming's body flashed and landed at the door of the evil spirit tower, his palm pressed against the door. Lin Xie and the other 2 were stunned when they saw that. They stopped in their tracks. Kid, you want to use the evil spirits in the evil spirit tower to threaten us? What a joke. Lin Xie smirked. I don't believe that you would dare to release the evil spirits from the evil spirit tower. We have the blood of the elves to deter the evil spirits, but you are not of the elves. Once the evil spirits appear, they will definitely attack you. With you attracting their firepower, we can escape unscathed. Ling Fei sneered. Really? The smile on Lu Ming's face widened. Yes, I bet you don't dare. Ling Fei sneered and stepped forward. Lin Xie and Hua Min also did not believe that Lu Ming would dare to open the door of the evil spirit tower and stepped forward as well. Just as Ling Fei said, if Lu Ming opened the door and released the evil spirits, the first thing these evil spirits would attack was Lu Ming. With the blood of the elves, they could easily retreat. Opening the door of the evil spirit tower was a dead end for Lu Ming. He could not even drag them down with him. Lu Ming did not make a move. It was as if he did not dare to. Of course, Lu Ming did this on purpose. He wanted Ling Fei, Lin Xie and the rest to get closer. Sure enough, seeing that Lu Ming did not make a move, they were even more certain that Lu Ming did not dare to open the door of the evil spirit tower. They became even more unscrupulous and continued to step forward, closing in on Lu Ming like a few cats surrounding a mouse. It's about time. At that moment, Lu Ming suddenly pushed the door of the evil spirit tower open. With a shake of his palm, a powerful force blasted into the evil spirit tower. This kid, Lin Xie and the rest's pupils shrank and could not help but retreat a distance. However, they did not retreat too far. If they retreated too far, they were afraid that Lu Ming would seize the opportunity to escape. At this distance, even if the evil spirits in the evil spirit tower rushed out, they would first deal with Lu Ming. They had enough time to escape. Roar, roar, roar. Furious roars came from the evil spirit tower. A terrifying aura came out of the evil spirit tower. Then one by one, the terrifying evil spirits rushed out of the evil spirit tower. This kid is dead for sure. He's really lucky. Seeing this scene, Ling Fei and Hua Min let out a long sigh of relief, a smile appearing on their faces. From their point of view, with these evil spirits rushing out, Lu Ming was dead for sure. There was no way he could survive. Lu Ming was not an elf and did not have the blood of an elf. He could not intimidate the evil spirits. He would definitely be attacked by the evil spirits and die. Only Lin Xie's face was gloomy. Once Lu Ming died in the hands of the evil spirits, he would not be able to get the method of not being suppressed. Seeing that the large group of evil spirits were about to drown Lu Ming's face did not show any signs of panic. A few round beads appeared in his hand. They were all evil spirit beads. Then, the array on the evil spirit beads was activated. A mysterious aura spread out. Of course, Lu Ming controlled it very well. He controlled the mysterious aura into a small ball. It was only a 10-meter radius. This way, the evil spirits would only be afraid of this 10-meter radius. When the evil spirit rushed into the 10-meter range, it automatically bypassed the 10-meter range. In an instant, at least hundreds of terrifying evil spirits rushed past Lu Ming. These evil spirits did not dare to attack Lu Ming. Naturally, they rushed toward Lin Xie, Ling Fei, and Hua Min Tao. How is this possible? Lin Xie, Ling Fei, and Hua Min widened their eyes in disbelief. Why did these evil spirits not attack Lu Ming? Lu Ming was not an elf and did not have the blood of an elf. How could this be? They were stunned for a moment. They originally thought that these evil spirits would definitely attack Lu Ming first, so they did not panic. Now that they wanted to retreat, it was too late. A large group of evil spirits rushed toward them. Activate the blood of an elf. Intimidate the evil spirits. Lin Xie roared. The blood in his body boiled. The powerful aura of an elf's blood burst out. Ling Fei and Hua Min did the same. They exploded with all their strength. A powerful aura pressed toward the evil spirits. The three of them were top geniuses of the elf tribe. Their elf blood was naturally very rich. Although it was not as good as Ling Yue's royal blood, it was not much worse. The evil spirits could not help but stiffen. A trace of fear appeared in their eyes. However, at this moment, Lu Ming activated the array on the evil spirit beads with all his strength. The mysterious aura suddenly expanded and rushed toward the evil spirits. The array formed by the 6 evil spirit beads was much more intimidating to the evil spirits than Lin Xie and the other two's elf blood. Being hit by this aura, the evil spirits were shocked and revealed a look of fear. They were afraid of the aura on both sides. However, they were more afraid of Lu Ming's aura. Therefore, they could only rush toward Lin Xie and the rest. Chapter 39:14. A large number of evil spirits rushed toward Lin Xie, Ling Fei, and Hua Min, causing them to turn pale with fright. Attack! Facing so many evil spirits, Lin Xie and the other two could only attack. Being attacked by the three of them, all the evil spirits roared angrily. These evil spirits were from the evil spirit tower on the 5th level. They were very powerful and had a deterrent effect on the elf tribe's bloodline. Otherwise, the elf tribe would not have chosen to enter during the 3-month period when the evil spirits were in hibernation. In addition, after being chased away by Lu Ming's dark spirit bead array, these evil spirits dashed toward Lin Xie and the other two in a frenzy. They began to kill them in a frenzy. Streaks of terrifying evil energy swept toward Lin Xie and the other two. The evil spirits in the 5th level of the evil spirit tower were even more terrifying than the evil spirits in the 4th level. Ling Fei and Hua Min were no match for so many attacks. They were instantly injured by the evil energy. Their bodies were covered in wounds, and they were dripping with blood. Moreover, there was a powerful corrosive energy that was corroding their divine power and flesh. Ah, help, help! Ling Fei screamed in agony, begging Lin Xie for help. However, it was impossible for Lin Xie to save him at this moment because Lin Xie could not even protect himself. A group of evil spirits surrounded him and attacked him like a storm. Even if Lin Xie used all his strength, he could only protect himself. Damn it, how could this be? Lin Xie roared in his heart. Everything was different from what he had expected. Lu Ming was completely fine and all the evil spirits were attacking them instead. At this moment, a scream was heard. Hua Min was clawed by a few terrifying evil spirits and his body was torn apart. He was then devoured by a few evil spirits. Seeing this scene, Ling Fei was almost scared to death. Help Mu Yun, help me. I beg you, save me, save me. After we get out, I will definitely support you and the princess being together. Ling Fei desperately shouted for help, pinning his hopes on Lu Ming. Swoosh! Lu Ming moved and charged toward Ling Fei. A glimmer of hope appeared in Ling Fei's eyes. He thought that Lu Ming was going to save him. Lu Ming shrunk the area of the dark spirit bead formation, covering only a few meters around him. When he passed by the dark spirits, they all moved aside. The next moment, Lu Ming appeared not far from Ling Fei. Ling Fei revealed a look of ecstasy and laughed wildly in his heart. He secretly cursed Lu Ming for being an idiot for actually saving him. He had already come up with more than 10 plans in his heart. After Lu Ming saved him, he would come up with a plan to get rid of Lu Ming. But in the next moment, Ling Fei suddenly widened his eyes. This was because a spear ray had already pierced through his dantian, piercing through the star within his dantian. "Ah, you!" Ling Fei let out a shrill scream, his eyes wide open. "The reason why I rushed over is not to save you, but to kill you with my own hands. Do you understand?" Lu Ming's cold voice rang out. The spear ray formed by the taboo energy suddenly vibrated, and a violent energy burst out, instantly tearing Ling Fei's body apart. Ling Fei's body and soul were destroyed. Damn it! Lin Xie was a little flustered. He madly charged in one direction, wanting to break out of the encirclement. But there were too many dark spirits. How could he rush out in such a short time? And Lu Ming had already charged toward Lin Xie. Wherever Lu Ming passed, the dark spirits avoided him. Lu Ming was like a ghost, approaching Lin Xie. Both of his fists blasted out, and the violent fist energy pressed down on Lin Xie. "Mu Yun, you are courting death," Lin Xie roared. His body kept trembling like a bowstring vibrating. Then, arrows burst out, blocking Lu Ming's fist energy. However, just as he was about to attack Lu Ming's body flashed, and he was already hiding behind many dark spirits. More dark spirits continued to attack Lin Xie. Ah! Lin Xie's hair stood on end as he roared like a madman. Terrifying arrows were shot out, and a few dark spirits exploded from the arrows. After one of the dark spirits exploded, a dark spirit bead appeared. A dark spirit bead actually appeared. As expected of the 5th level. It's not just a dark spirit from the evil spirit tower. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. His body flashed, and he caught the dark spirit in his hand. Afterward, Lu Ming took the time to launch an attack on Lin Xie. Being attacked by Lu Ming and the dark spirits, Lin Xie finally could not hold on. A bird-type dark spirit grabbed his body and tore off a piece of flesh from his body. With a piece of flesh torn off, Lin Xie's wound was constantly corroded by the dark energy, causing Lin Xie to roar in pain. "Take his life while he's down." Lu Ming immediately attacked. His fist almost hit Lin Xie's chest, but Lin Xie dodged it by a hair's breadth. Lin Xie went berserk and continued to use his ultimate move. He blew up a few more dark spirits, and a few more dark spirit beads appeared. These dark spirit beads were only the size of a fist, but to Lu Ming, they were very useful. Naturally, he kept them all. Roar! At that moment, a terrifying roar came from the evil spirit tower. It was as if a terrifying existence was awakening. Obviously, the most powerful dark spirit in the evil spirit tower was about to awaken. A violent aura rushed out of the evil spirit tower's door. Lin Xie's expression changed drastically. He could deal with other dark spirits, but if the most powerful dark spirit in the evil spirit tower came out, he would not be able to handle it. "Kid, let me go, let me go!" Lin Xie roared. "Let you go? Do you think that's possible?" Lu Ming sneered. "If you don't let me go, when that terrifying dark spirit comes out, we'll all die." Lin Xie roared. "We'll all die? I think you're thinking too much." Lu Ming smiled faintly and moved the dark spirit bead in his hand. Lin Xie's pupils shrank rapidly, and he roared in a frenzy, "Kid, do you know who I am? I'm warning you, let me go, or when we get out of this world, I'll make sure you die a horrible death." "When you're eaten by the dark spirit, how are you going to get out of this world?" Lu Ming chuckled. As he spoke, he continued to attack Lin Xie so that Lin Xie could not escape. Roar! In the evil spirit tower, a terrifying roar came again. The terrifying aura was getting stronger and stronger. Finally, a maggot-like dark spirit rushed out of the evil spirit tower. Immediately, a terrifying aura spread toward Lu Ming and Lin Xie. Lin Xie's face turned pale. The divine power in his body burned fiercely. He gave it his all, trying to rush out. "Stay here." Lu Ming also gave it his all, attacking Lin Xie without fear of death. In the end, Lu Ming's body was pierced by a terrifying arrow, and he was sent flying tens of thousands of meters away. But after being blocked, Lin Xie lost the chance to escape because the maggot-like dark spirit swallowed him whole. Chapter 39:15. Lin Xie screamed as he was swallowed by the maggot evil spirit. He resisted with all his might, burning his divine power. He desperately wanted to escape, regardless of the consequences. Unfortunately, his fate was already sealed. He was not Lu Ming and did not have the forbidden power. Once he was swallowed by this terrifying evil spirit, he could not resist the corrosive power at all. At first, he was still struggling, roaring like thunder. Later, his voice became softer and softer, and finally, there was no sound at all. After the maggot evil spirit swallowed Lin Xie, it opened its mouth full of fangs and faced Lu Ming. Lu Ming was shocked and quickly activated the array of the dark spirit bead. A powerful and mysterious aura spread out. The maggot evil spirit showed a trace of fear and turned to leave. Lu Ming looked hesitant, wondering if he should make a move to kill the maggot evil spirit. This maggot evil spirit was more powerful than the three-headed lizard evil spirit on the 4th floor. The dark spirit bead it contained was definitely stronger. If he could get it, the power of the dark spirit bead array would definitely be stronger. However, Lu Ming was not confident. In the end, Lu Ming chose to give up. The maggot evil spirit flew back into the dark spirit tower and disappeared. However, there were still some ordinary evil spirits that did not return. "You can't leave." Lu Ming stared at the ordinary evil spirits and killed them. Although they were ordinary evil spirits, they were still very powerful. They were just not as terrifying as the maggot evil spirit. However, Lu Ming used the dark spirit bead array to deter these evil spirits, so it was not too difficult to kill them. Soon, more than half of the hundreds of evil spirits were killed by Lu Ming, and he obtained 12 fist-sized dark spirit beads. "Senior Bone Demon, I'll leave these dark spirit beads to you." Lu Ming handed the dark spirit beads to Bone Demon, and let Bone Demon integrate them into the dark spirit bead array. He left and continued to look for the entrance to the 6th floor. As he searched, he took out a few storage rings and counted them. Naturally, the storage rings belonged to Lin Xie, Ling Fei, and Hua Min. After checking, Lu Ming's face was full of smiles. Putting everything else aside, just the elven wood hearts alone, the three of them had plundered a bunch of them from their storage rings. In total, there were over 1,000 of them. Over 1,000 elven wood cores were already a huge fortune. Apart from these, there were also 10 or so intermediate elven tree seeds and low elven tree seeds. Altogether, they were worth 600 to 700 elven wood cores, which was a great harvest. This time, Lu Ming was in luck. After Skeletal Fiend integrated the fist-sized dark spirit beads into the array, Lu Ming found the entrance to the 6th floor and entered it. After entering the 6th floor, Lu Ming continued to search for the entrance to the 7th floor. This time, there were no major accidents. Other than finding a few elven trees, they encountered a few groups of evil spirits. The evil spirits wandering on the 6th floor were stronger than those on the 5th floor, but they were easily defeated by Lu Ming. Lu Ming smoothly arrived on the 7th floor. What a strong suppressive force. After arriving on the 7th floor, Lu Ming's first feeling was that the suppressive force was very strong, far above that of the 6th floor. Of course, Lu Ming unleashed his forbidden power and rushed out, breaking through the suppressive force. The second feeling was that the life essence was too rich, far above the previous worlds. The trees here were particularly thick and tall, full of exuberant vitality. The 7th floor could not only nurture low elven tree seeds and intermediate elven tree seeds, but it could also nurture high elven tree seeds. Of course, the evil spirits here were also particularly powerful. Even if the most terrifying evil spirits were asleep, the evil spirits wandering outside were not to be underestimated. Their strength was very terrifying. The 7th floor was very dangerous. Even the top prodigies of the elf tribe would be in danger here. Throughout history, many fallen elf tribe prodigies were concentrated on this floor. This was because very few people dared to go to the 8th floor. Many people wanted to go to the 7th floor to look for elven tree seeds. Lu Ming's original goal was also the 7th floor. That is, not long after Lu Ming arrived on the 7th floor, he found an unusual tree. When he walked closer, he found that it was a low-level elven tree seed. As expected of the 7th floor, I just arrived and found a low-level elven tree seed. This place is really extraordinary. Lu Ming smiled and put away the low-level elven tree seed. Then, Lu Ming spread out his spiritual sense and began to search carefully. After arriving on the 7th floor, Lu Ming was not in a hurry to go to the 8th floor. He planned to search on the 7th floor. The 7th floor was no small matter. In just half a day, Lu Ming found 15 low-level elven tree seeds and 3 mid-level elven tree seeds. Unfortunately, he did not find any high-level elven tree seeds. Roar. A group of evil spirits roared and rushed toward Lu Ming. The cold evil power kept surging toward Lu Ming. Kill. Lu Ming brought out the array of dark spirit beads and shrouded these evil spirits. These evil spirits showed fear and could not fight with half of their combat power. Lu Ming rushed over and killed them. After a round of killing, Lu Ming annihilated all these evil spirits. Surprisingly, these evil spirits also had dark spirit beads. On average, 1 in 10 evil spirits had a dark spirit bead, but the size was relatively small, only the size of an egg. But Lu Ming was very satisfied. These were just ordinary evil spirits, and they had dark spirit beads. After a fight, Lu Ming got a dozen dark spirit beads. Although these dark spirit beads are relatively small, as long as there are enough of them, the deterrent force will be strong enough. I wonder if I can enter the 8th and 9th floor with this array? Lu Ming was looking forward to it. The evil spirits on the 8th and 9th floor would be even more terrifying. Even the ordinary evil spirits that wandered outside were absolutely terrifying. Moreover, it was said that no one of the elves had been to the 9th floor for at least 100 stellar years. They knew very little about the 9th floor. Who knew if those terrifying evil spirits were sleeping on the 9th floor? So, the more dark spirit beads the better. Lu Ming threw the dark spirit beads to Skeletal Demon for refining and continued his search. Later, whenever he encountered an evil spirit, Lu Ming would not let them go. He killed them all, and the number of dark spirit beads he collected increased. Naturally, the power of the array of dark spirit beads was getting stronger and stronger, and he collected more and more elven trees. Unfortunately, he still did not collect any high-grade elven trees. In the blink of an eye, Lu Ming had been on the 7th floor for 3 days. On the evening of the 3rd day, Lu Ming suddenly sensed something. He suddenly sped up and flew to the right. After thousands of miles, Lu Ming found a towering ancient tree that towered into the clouds. It was at least 1,000 meters tall, the same height as many evil spirit towers. Chapter 39:16. The canopy of the 1,000-meter-tall ancient tree opened up like a large umbrella, covering the sky and the sun. In the middle of the canopy, there was a fruit. It was golden in color and about the size of a fist, but it emitted terrifying fluctuations. The rich life essence was like water ripples that spread out in all directions. No wonder Lu Ming could feel it from so far away. What rich life essence! This is a high-grade elven tree. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. The life essence of this fruit was too rich. Before the fruit was even broken, the life essence was already far above that of a mid-grade elven tree. This was definitely a high-grade elven tree. In the entire elven race, it was the top tree. If the elves nurtured a high-grade elven tree well, it could grow into a towering tree that could provide a huge amount of cultivation resources for the elves. Moreover, when the elves cultivated on the elven tree, they could also purify their bloodline and speed up their cultivation. If they had enough time, they could even subtly increase their cultivation. It could be said that the elven tree was the foundation of the elves' strength. High-grade elven tree was even more important. It was said that in the entire elven race, there were only 100 or so mature high-grade elven trees. Not even 200. From this, it could be seen how precious high-grade elven trees were. Ling Huafeng wanted Lu Ming to collect 12 high-grade elven trees to make things difficult for him. However, Lu Ming had finally encountered his first high-grade elven tree. Just as Lu Ming was about to take action and take down the high-grade elven tree, an arrow suddenly shot towards Lu Ming from the left at an astonishing speed. The arrow whistled and broke through the void. Its power was extremely terrifying. Lu Ming's figure flashed and he retreated continuously. That arrow flew past him and passed by him. Then, Lu Ming looked to the left. Swoosh! In that direction, a light flashed and a figure appeared. This was an elven woman. She was very beautiful. Although she couldn't compare to Ling Yue, she was definitely top-notch. She held a battle bow in her hand and stepped through the air. An arrow was already aimed at Lu Ming. Mu Yun? I didn't expect that with your cultivation, you would actually be able to reach the 7th floor. What a miracle! Her voice was very pleasant to the ears, like silver pearls falling on a jade plate. A young genius of the fourth godly emperor layer dares to attack a young man at the first emperor layer by surprise. Hee hee. Lu Ming sneered. He could already sense that the woman was terrifying. She had the strength of the fourth godly emperor layer, the same as Lin Xie. If I don't do it, the high elven tree seed will be taken by you. All right, this high elven tree seed belongs to me now. You can leave. The female elf said in a domineering manner. It belongs to you? This sprite tree was discovered by me first. Lu Ming said. You were the one who discovered it first, but you don't have the strength to protect it, so it's mine now. You're Ling Yue's fiancé, and I have a good relationship with Ling Yue. I don't want to hurt you, so you can leave. The female elf said. Whether or not I have the strength to protect you is not up to you. Lu Ming smiled faintly as a powerful aura emanated from his body. Indeed, on the 5th floor, Lu Ming wasn't a match for Lin Xie, and he probably wasn't a match for the female elf either. But this was the 7th floor. The oppressive strength was much stronger than on the 5th floor. Lu Ming wasn't affected, but the others were. Lu Ming was confident that on the 7th floor, Lu Ming wasn't afraid of Lin Xie. He could even defeat him. The female elf was surprised. She looked at Lu Ming curiously. She knew that Lu Ming was extremely strong. At the same level, there weren't many people in the entire universe who could compete with him. It could be seen from how he had defeated Hua Xing. However, the difference between a cultivator of the fourth godly emperor layer and a cultivator of the fourth godly emperor layer was too great. She wasn't an ordinary cultivator of the fourth godly emperor layer. She was a genius. Lu Ming surprisingly wanted to fight with her. She was very surprised. Even if I don't kill you for Ling Yue's sake, I'll teach you a lesson. I believe she won't have anything to say. Let's fight. The female elf shouted. Her aura surged as she aimed an arrow at Lu Ming. Lu Ming immediately felt a sharp intent lock onto him. Whoosh! An arrow shot toward Lu Ming like a ray of light. Great! Lu Ming's lips curled into a smile. His aura also surged. The battle formula increased his combat strength by 6 times. When the female elf appeared, Lu Ming had already tried to trigger the battle formula to increase his combat strength by 6 times. At this moment, he finally succeeded. Boom! Lu Ming's palm slashed out like a knife. His palm contained the power of Great God Wind and Great Shattering. It was even sharper than a real heavenly sword. Clang! Lu Ming's palm collided with the arrow, causing an earth-shattering explosion. Then with a loud bang, circles of light spread out in all directions. The arrow shot by the female elf exploded. As for Lu Ming's figure, he did not move at all. How is this possible? The female elf's beautiful eyes were wide open. Her small mouth was slightly agape, and her face was filled with disbelief. She had already used 70% of her strength in that arrow. She was certain that Lu Ming would definitely not be able to block it and would be seriously injured. By then, he would naturally retreat in the face of difficulties and would not compete with her for the high-level spirit tree species. She never expected that Lu Ming would be able to block her attack. How could a quasi-emperor block her attack? It seems that your strength isn't that great? Now it's my turn. Lu Ming's indifferent voice rang out. He took a step forward and quickly approached the female elf. Humph! I was merciful just now. Now take this. The female elf cried out. She retreated quickly and knocked an arrow on her bow. Another arrow flew towards Lu Ming. This time, the female elf used 90% of her strength. Lu Ming struck out with his palm again and hit the arrow. With a loud bang, the arrow was still destroyed by Lu Ming. Lu Ming's figure did not stop at all. He continued to rush towards the female elf. The two figures were rapidly closing in. When the distance between the two was completely closed, Lu Ming made a strong move. His palm was like a knife, and he struck out more than 10 times in a row. More than 10 rays of light slashed towards the female elf. Your cultivation isn't being suppressed. At this time, the female elf finally realized that something was wrong. Her beautiful eyes widened and she exclaimed. At this critical moment, a long spear suddenly appeared in her hand. The long spear swept out and a huge mountain-like spear light collided with the divine light slashed by Lu Ming. There was a big explosion in the void, and a terrifying force swept out in all directions. In the roar, the female elf's figure retreated rapidly. In a head-on confrontation, She was no match for Lu Ming. Whoosh! Lu Ming continued to approach the female elf and launched a fierce attack. As Lu Ming closed the distance between them, the female elf abandoned her bow and used her long spear to fight him. Chapter 39:17. The elven woman was indeed very powerful. She was definitely not weaker than Lin Xie. In fact, she was even stronger than Lin Xie. She had abandoned her bow and arrow and used her spear to fight her enemy. Her combat strength was also extremely shocking. Although she was suppressed by Lu Ming and kept retreating, it was not possible for Lu Ming to defeat her in a few moves. Boom! The two of them exchanged another blow. Amidst the violent rumbling, the elven woman's figure retreated rapidly. "I'm not fighting anymore. I'm not fighting anymore," the elven woman cried out. Lu Ming stopped and did not continue to attack. It was not because the other party was a woman and was beautiful, but because the other party did not have any killing intent towards him just now. The other party only wanted to seize the elven tree seed and did not have any killing intent towards him. Moreover, she seemed to be Ling Yue's friend, so Lu Ming would not kill her because of this. "I'm not fighting anymore. You pervert. I'm not fighting with you anymore. This elven tree seed is yours." The elven woman took a few deep breaths and slowly calmed down the boiling divine power in her body. Her gaze towards Lu Ming was filled with resentment and curiosity. She had actually lost to a quasi-emperor, which made her extremely unhappy. However, a quasi-emperor actually had such powerful strength, which made her very curious. "You should retreat a little," Lu Ming said. He was afraid that he would be ambushed while he was picking the elven tree seed. The elven woman nodded and retreated to a certain distance. In this distance, her bow and arrow could not unleash too much power. At this moment, Lu Ming's figure flashed and appeared beside the elven tree seed. With a wave of his hand, a divine light flashed and cut open the fruit. Immediately, an extremely rich life essence rushed out. What pure life essence! It really is a high-grade elven tree seed. Lu Ming was overjoyed. This elven tree seed was actually golden, but it was even more resplendent and beautiful than gold. It was like the incarnation of life essence. This was a high-grade elven tree seed. If he gave it to the elves, he would be rewarded with 1,000 elven wood cores. Lu Ming took out a jade box and carefully put it into the jade box, keeping it in his storage ring. In the distance, the elven woman revealed an envious expression. "Mu Yun, let's work together," the female elf said. Lu Ming was very strong, which made her want to cooperate with him. Not interested. Lu Ming rejected him directly. He had no intention to consider it at all. "Mu Yun, there are many elf tribe prodigies on the 7th level. It won't be easy to get the elf seed. There will be a lot of competition. If we work together, we'll have a better chance." The female elf still wanted to persuade him. Not interested. Lu Ming continued to shake his head with a cold face. The female elf's face turned red. She was very unhappy. He rejected her so straightforwardly. Was she that unattractive? Although she knew that she couldn't compare to Ling Yue, she shouldn't be that far off. Sometimes, a woman's thoughts were just that wild. In the end, the elf woman coldly harumphed, turned around, and left. After the fairy left, Lu Ming chose another direction and stepped into the air. However, not long after, Lu Ming stopped. Because in front of him, a figure was rushing towards him. In the next moment, that figure stopped in front of Lu Ming. "Mu Yun." This figure's gaze fell on Lu Ming, and a cold killing intent flashed across his eyes. This young man was Hua Ding, who Ling Fei and Hua Min had been looking for. Previously, Hua Ding didn't believe that Lu Ming wouldn't be suppressed here. Lu Ming frowned. The other party's killing intent towards him was very strong. In an instant, he felt it. "Mu Yun, very good. Give me your storage ring," Hua Ding said indifferently, in a commanding tone. "Why should I give my storage ring to you?" Lu Ming sneered. He naturally wouldn't give his storage ring to the other party. "Just now, I clearly felt a strong life essence being emitted nearby. If I'm not wrong, it was emitted by the high-grade elf tree. But in the next moment, it disappeared, and I only saw you in the vicinity. Tell me, did you obtain the high-grade elf tree?" Hua Ding said lightly. He was still in a superior position, commanding Lu Ming in a commanding tone. "Yes or no, what does it have to do with you?" Lu Ming said. Mu Yun, you're very arrogant. Originally, if you obediently hand over your storage ring, I could have left your corpse intact. But now, I've decided that I will feed you to the evil spirits. Hua Ding sneered, and the killing intent emanating from his body became even stronger. You really know how to act cool. I'll send you on your way first. Lu Ming directly made his move. This Hua Ding, as soon as he saw him, emitted a strong killing intent. Lu Ming didn't hold back at all against such a person. He made the first move to gain the upper hand. Boom! His palm was like a knife, piercing through the air and slashing at Hua Ding's vital points. Hua Ding's expression changed. The power of Lu Ming's attack made him feel a terrifying sense of danger. Arrow Cauldron Technique. Hua Ding roared, and the divine power in his body boiled. Very small arrows rushed out from every pore of his body. These arrows gathered together, forming a large cauldron that floated in front of him. Clang! Lu Ming's palm landed on the large cauldron. The large cauldron let out a violent roar, and then exploded. Hua Ding's body shook violently, and he retreated violently, almost spitting out a mouthful of blood. You're really not suppressed? Hua Ding roared in shock, and then a greedy look appeared in his eyes. He immediately thought of the value of not being suppressed. Really not suppressed? What do you mean by that? You seem to have heard it before? Lu Ming frowned. The first thing he thought of was Ling Fei and Hua Min. This was because the only people who knew that he wasn't suppressed were Ling Fei, Hua Min, and the others. However, the female elf had just left, and naturally, she could not have revealed it to Hua Ding. There was only one possibility, which was that Ling Fei and the others had asked Hua Ding to deal with him, and that was why he knew. Swoosh! At this moment, Hua Ding's body retreated frantically, trying to distance himself from Lu Ming. Then, a battle bow formed in his hand. Arrow Cauldron Technique, suppressing heaven and earth. Hua Ding roared, and he continued to shoot. His arrows were not aimed at Lu Ming, but at the sky. Swoosh! 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 Arrows flew into the sky, and then those arrows turned into large cauldrons, and pressed down on Lu Ming. There were a total of 12 large cauldrons, and they emitted a terrifying wave of energy that could suppress heaven and earth. Lu Ming was surprised. This kind of archery technique was rare. However, Lu Ming was not afraid. He rushed up and his body glowed. The Great God Wind Technique and Great Shattering Technique burst out, and combined with Lu Ming's palm, they attacked continuously. Boom! 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 Terrifying collisions erupted, and violent energy waves swept in all directions. The countless ancient trees below were destroyed by the energy waves, and turned into ashes. Chapter 39:18. Lu Ming struck out 12 consecutive palms, colliding with the 12 cauldrons. With 12 consecutive explosions, the 12 cauldrons were all destroyed by Lu Ming. Kill! After destroying the 12 cauldrons, Lu Ming continued to charge towards Hua Ding like an invincible god of war. His palms broke through the void, and a terrifying divine light surged towards Hua Ding. Damn it, he really isn't being suppressed. How can this be? Hua Ding roared in his heart, trying his best to fight against Lu Ming. However, Hua Ding's combat strength was not much different from Lin Xie's. If they were on the 5th level, Lu Ming would not be his match. However, he was suppressed too much here, and he was no match for Lu Ming. Before the two exchanged more than 10 blows, Hua Ding's shoulder was slashed by Lu Ming. His shoulder was almost shattered, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. His face was pale. Kill! Lu Ming yelled and unleashed his abilities to the maximum. At that moment, his body glowed, and all of his offensive and entrapment secret skills were revealed. They turned into a storm and charged towards Hua Ding. Hua Ding was dumbfounded. How could one person master so many secret skills? Then, he roared crazily and resisted with all his might, shattering one secret skill after another. However, with so many secret skills attacking at the same time, the power was too shocking. Hua Ding barely managed to block it. However, Lu Ming had already appeared in front of him. He clenched his fist and punched Hua Ding's dantian. This time, Hua Ding's face was pale. This was because Lu Ming's violent fist force had entered his dantian, causing the star in his dantian to tremble. The divine flames on the star were almost extinguished, and its light dimmed. Hua Ding screamed, and his body flew out, coughing up blood. This time, he was severely injured, and his aura was much weaker. Lu Ming's body flashed, and he appeared next to Hua Ding again. He attacked with all his might, showing no mercy. Hua Ding roared and fought with all his might. His divine power burned fiercely, and he wanted to break free from the suppression of heaven and earth and return to his peak. Unfortunately, it was already too late for him to risk his life. The eternal star in his dantian had been severely damaged by Lu Ming, and it was difficult for him to regain his full strength. Even if he burned his divine power, it was difficult for him to break through the suppression of the world. However, under such desperate efforts, his battle strength had increased greatly. His body seemed to be covered with a suit of armor made of god power, and a huge cauldron appeared. Grabbing the foot of the cauldron, he threw it toward Lu Ming. This kind of cauldron was completely condensed from numerous arrows. Its attack power was extremely terrifying. After exchanging several blows with Lu Ming, there was still no clear victor. "Little bastard, you want to kill me? Don't even think about it. When I get out, I'll make you wish you were dead." Hua Ding roared, his hair stood on end, his killing intent like a rainbow. He had actually been forced by Lu Ming to this point. He was desperately burning his divine power. This was extremely damaging to him. The side effects were huge. It might hurt his foundation and make it difficult for him to improve in the future. His hatred for Lu Ming was like a torrential river that flowed endlessly. He had already decided in his heart that after he left, no matter what price he had to pay, he would deal with Lu Ming. Even if Lu Ming was Ling Yue's fiancé, he would still kill him. "You still want to leave now? Is that possible?" Lu Ming's cold voice could be heard. All of a sudden, his attacks changed. He completely abandoned his defense and focused all his energy on attacking. "You're courting death." Hua Ding discovered that Lu Ming had revealed a huge flaw. How could he miss such an opportunity? The cauldron whizzed out and struck Lu Ming horizontally. Dong! The cauldron heavily smashed into Lu Ming's body. Countless arrows shot out and pierced through Lu Ming's body. Lu Ming suddenly turned into a hornet's nest. "Ha ha ha, go to hell, go to hell." Hua Ding laughed crazily, his face sinister. But in the next moment, he couldn't laugh anymore. Lu Ming, who had already turned into a hornet's nest, actually moved. Taking advantage of the situation, he circled around to Hua Ding's side. His palm was like a blade as he slashed down at him. Compared to before, his power was not the slightest bit weaker. Hua Ding was completely dumbfounded. After being hit by his cauldron head-on, his body had been pierced into a hornet's nest, but he was actually fine. He could still make a move and maintain his peak combat strength. What was going on? No matter how strong the others were, their bodies would definitely be severely injured after being pierced like this. They probably wouldn't even be able to unleash 10% of their strength. However, Lu Ming still maintained 100% of his strength. This was beyond his expectations. He wanted to dodge, but it was already too late. Puff! Lu Ming's palm was like a blade. On his palm, there was the power of the Great God Wind Technique and the Great Shattering Technique. The Great God Wind Technique was incomparably sharp and possessed a terrifying cutting power. As for the Great Shattering Technique, it possessed a terrifying shattering power. When the palm hit Hua Ding, it directly blasted the protective divine power on his body and slashed his body. Blood splattered everywhere. Hua Ding's body was slashed diagonally into two halves. The remaining two halves of his body continued to shatter under the bombardment of the Great Shattering Technique. Hua Ding's soul escaped from his sea of consciousness. He wanted to escape, but he was caught by Lu Ming's big hand. "Don't kill me. Please don't kill me," Hua Ding screamed in horror. However, Lu Ming's face was cold. He squeezed hard and Hua Ding's soul turned into ashes with a bang. It completely disappeared. Hua Ding was killed by Lu Ming. A storage ring appeared in Lu Ming's hand. Naturally, it was Hua Ding's. Lu Ming didn't stay. His figure flashed and he left this place. After all, Hua Ding was a top genius of the elf clan. If others saw that he was killed by him, it wouldn't be good. It would cause trouble. After leaving for some distance, Lu Ming began to check the storage ring left behind by Hua Ding. Soon, Lu Ming smiled. The collection in Hua Ding's storage ring was more abundant than Lin Xie's. There were many elf tree hearts, low-level and mid-level elf tree trees. Unfortunately, there were no high-level elf tree trees. It seemed like high-level elf tree trees were not easy to find. After killing Hua Ding, Lu Ming continued to search on the 7th floor. He encountered a few groups of evil spirits and obtained many dark spirit pearls. However, he still didn't find any high-level elf trees. Instead, he met other geniuses of the elf clan. These geniuses of the elf clan were surprised to see that Lu Ming could make it to the 7th floor. Some of them even wanted to attack Lu Ming, but Lu Ming took the initiative to retreat. After all, he was in the elf clan. If news of him killing too many geniuses of the elf clan spread, the people behind them would definitely come after him. It was best to avoid trouble. Unless the other party wanted to kill him, like Hua Ding, he wouldn't show mercy. Fortunately, the other elf clans didn't want to kill him that badly. Just like that, Lu Ming stayed on the 7th floor for a total of 7 days. On the 7th day, he finally found another high-level elf tree. With that, Lu Ming found a total of 2 high-level elf trees. He found quite a number of low-level and mid-level elf trees. Chapter 39:19. I can't go on like this. I won't be able to find 12 high-level elven tree seeds in 3 months. Lu Ming frowned and pondered. He felt that there might not be 12 elven tree seeds in the entire 7th level. Moreover, there were many elven prodigies on this level. With so many people searching together, how could he find 12 high-level elven tree seeds? Looks like I have to go to the 8th level to take a look. Lu Ming made a decision. He immediately headed in a certain direction. There were a total of 3 entrances from the 7th level to the 8th level. Lu Ming had searched here for 7 days and had already found 2 entrances and left his mark. Therefore, Lu Ming quickly found one of the entrances and entered the 8th level. The 8th level was stronger than the 7th level in terms of the density of life essence and the suppression of heaven and earth. However, the suppression of heaven and earth was still ineffective against Lu Ming. Looking around, the world was filled with lush forests. Large tracts of forest stood between heaven and earth, incomparably magnificent. That's a elven tree seed. Lu Ming glanced around and found that there was a tree not far away that had a particularly dense life essence. On the crown of the tree there was a fruit. It was clearly a elven tree seed. Lu Ming stepped over and took it down. He found that it was a low-level elven tree seed. There should be a lot of low-level elven tree seeds on the 8th level. Lu Ming smiled and spread out his spiritual consciousness to search. Sure enough, not long after, Lu Ming found another elven tree seed. Although it was also a low-level one, Lu Ming was ecstatic. The density of elven tree seeds here was so high. They were only a few thousand miles apart, and elven tree seeds were continuously appearing. There would definitely be a huge harvest on this level. Caw! At this moment, a terrifying roar sounded. A pitch-black giant bird pounced towards Lu Ming. This giant bird was an evil spirit, but its aura was exceptionally terrifying, causing Lu Ming's pupils to shrink slightly. The giant bird evil spirit was very fast. In the next moment, it appeared not far from Lu Ming. Its sharp claws were like knives, grabbing at Lu Ming. Boom! Lu Ming unleashed his full strength. His palm was like a blade as he slashed out, slashing at the giant bird evil spirit's sharp claws. There was an intense explosion, and Lu Ming retreated. He felt a burning pain in his palm. What a powerful force! Lu Ming felt that the power of this evil spirit was no weaker than the 3-headed lizard evil spirit guarding the evil spirit tower on the 4th floor. If this evil spirit was only an ordinary evil spirit from the 8th floor, then it would be terrifying. Caw! The giant bird evil spirit let out a strange cry and continued to attack Lu Ming. This time, Lu Ming took out the array of dark spirit beads and activated the array's power. Now, Lu Ming's dark spirit bead array was made up of more than 20 dark spirit beads of different sizes. The deterrence it had on the dark spirits was amazing. As soon as the evil spirit was enveloped by the mysterious aura of the spirit array, it shuddered and a look of horror appeared in its eyes. It turned around and fled. Lu Ming did not chase after it. He was very satisfied with the ability of the dark spirit beads. Now was the time to focus on finding the elvish tree species. Hunting evil spirits would be a waste of time. Next, Lu Ming focused on finding the elvish tree species. The evil spirits on the 7th or 8th floor were indeed very terrifying. Some were alone, some were in groups of 3 or 5, and some were even in groups of dozens. The strength of these evil spirits was no weaker than the giant bird evil spirit that Lu Ming first met. If it were not for the deterrence of the dark spirit bead array, Lu Ming would have been torn to pieces by these evil spirits. So basically, No elven prodigies dared to come to this floor. Anyway, Lu Ming had wandered around for several days and did not meet any elven prodigies. With the deterrence of the Dark Spirit Bead, Lu Ming's Dark Spirit Bead array was like his backyard. Whether it was a lone evil spirit or a group of evil spirits, as long as he activated the Dark Spirit Bead array, all the evil spirits would definitely run away. So, Lu Ming happily looked for the elvish tree species on the 8th floor. The 8th floor was very big. Lu Ming had been looking for the elvish tree species on the 8th floor for more than 10 days. The harvest was quite bountiful. He had found at least a few hundred low-grade elvish tree species. There were definitely more than 50 mid-grade elvish tree species. Even the high-grade elvish tree species, Lu Ming found 8. Yes. Lu Ming had almost searched the entire 8th floor and only found 8 high-grade elvish tree species. The number of high-grade elvish tree species was even fewer than he had imagined. It seemed that he was very lucky to find 2 high-grade elvish tree species on the 7th floor. There were probably only a few high-grade elvish tree species in the entire 7th floor. Finally, after a few more days, Lu Ming felt that he had really searched the entire 8th floor, and finally found another high-grade elvish tree species. In this way, he found 9 high-grade elvish tree species on the 8th floor and 2 on the 7th floor, making a total of 11 high-grade elvish tree species. He was only 1 away from 12 high-grade elvish tree species. It seems that I have to go to the 9th floor to have a look, Lu Ming thought. However, the dark spirits on the 8th floor were already so terrifying. He did not know how terrifying the dark spirits on the 9th floor would be. Lu Ming was not sure if the array of the Dark Spirit Bead in his hand would be effective. There are still more than 2 months before the 3-month deadline. Anyway, it's still early. It won't take that long to search the 9th floor. I'd better strengthen the power of the Dark Spirit Bead array first, Lu Ming thought. Previously, when he encountered the dark spirits, he did not hunt them. It was mainly to find the elvish tree species that was more important. Now that the 8th floor had almost been searched, and it was still early, Lu Ming planned to hunt the dark spirits to strengthen the power of the Dark Spirit Bead array so that he could explore the 9th floor. As soon as he made the decision, there was a roar not far away. Several dark spirits flew toward Lu Ming. Good timing. Lu Ming's eyes lit up as he rushed over. When the distance between the two sides was close enough, Lu Ming activated the power of the Dark Spirit Bead array. The Dark Spirit Bead array shrouded the dark spirits. The dark spirits immediately showed a look of horror and turned to flee. This time, Lu Ming would not let them escape. He went straight for them. Roar! The dark spirits fought back and fought with Lu Ming. However, these dark spirits were shrouded by the Dark Spirit Bead array. Their strength was greatly reduced, and they were no longer Lu Ming's opponent. After a fierce battle, Lu Ming paid a small price to kill all the dark spirits and obtained several bowl-sized dark spirit beads. Haha, not bad. Lu Ming was overjoyed. He handed a few dark spirit beads to Bone Demon to refine and strengthen the power of the dark spirit beads. Lu Ming, on the other hand, found a place to absorb and refine some spirit wood hearts to enhance his potential. Before entering the ancestral land of the elves, Lu Ming's cell potential had reached 100%. Chapter 39-20. Before entering the elven ancestral land, the potential of Lu Ming's cells had reached 100%. However, after entering the elven ancestral land, Lu Ming had experienced a series of battles, including the battle with the dark spirits and the elven prodigies. He had been severely injured in several battles, which had continuously stimulated the potential stored in his cells. At this time, the potential stored in Lu Ming's cells was almost 0. Once the potential stored in his cells was 0, it would be difficult for Lu Ming to recover quickly. Therefore, Lu Ming planned to absorb the elven tree heart first to store potential. After stimulating so much potential, Lu Ming's cultivation base had also become stronger, and he was closer to the Divine Emperor realm. Of course, there was still a long way to go before he could fully step into the Divine Emperor realm. Lu Ming took out an elven tree heart and started to absorb it. The absorption speed of the elven tree heart was very fast. Soon, the elven tree heart was completely absorbed, and the potential stored in Lu Ming's cells increased by 1%. Then he took out the second one, the third one. When Lu Ming had absorbed and refined 100 elven tree hearts, the potential stored in his cells had reached 100%. At this time, Lu Ming came out of seclusion and continued to hunt the dark spirits. For the next 7 days, Lu Ming was on the 8th level, hunting the dark spirits. In the end, Lu Ming's dark spirit bead array had a total of 108 bowl-sized dark spirit beads. Once the array of dark spirit beads was activated, its power increased by more than 10 times. Anyway, the ordinary wandering dark spirits on the 8th level were suppressed by the array of dark spirit beads. They shrank in place, trembling, and were at the mercy of Lu Ming. At this time, Lu Ming was ready to go to the 9th level. No matter how strong the dark spirits on the 9th level were, Lu Ming should be able to pass through unimpeded with the array of dark spirit beads. There were 2 entrances to the 9th level on the 8th level. Lu Ming had already made a mark on the 2 entrances. He went to the nearest entrance and successfully entered the 9th level. On the 9th level the vitality was extremely strong. The ordinary trees had almost turned into spiritual wood. Of course, the suppression between heaven and earth was also very terrifying. For experts like Hua Ding and Lin Xie, if they were to enter the 9th level, they would be crushed miserably. Lu Ming could kill them with one punch. There must be a lot of elven trees on this level. Lu Ming looked expectant, randomly chose a direction, and flew in that direction. However, after flying for tens of thousands of miles, Lu Ming did not find a single sprite tree. What's going on? Logically speaking, the chances of an elven tree seed appearing on the 9th floor were higher than on the 8th floor. How could they not find a single elven tree seed after flying for over 10,000 miles? Lu Ming was puzzled. At this moment, a few terrifying auras flew over from the distance. They were a few evil spirits. What made Lu Ming's face change slightly was the strength of these dark spirits. They were at least several times stronger than the ordinary dark spirits on the 8th level. Lu Ming quickly activated the array of the dark spirit bead, and a powerful deterrent force erupted. The few dark spirits were frightened and fled one after another. Phew! Lu Ming breathed a sigh of relief. He secretly rejoiced that he had spent some time hunting some dark spirits on the 8th floor to strengthen the array of the dark spirit bead. Otherwise, it would have been really dangerous to face such a terrifying dark spirit on the 9th floor. After scaring away the dark spirits, Lu Ming continued to look for elven trees. Next, Lu Ming encountered several batches of dark spirits. Each dark spirit was very powerful, but when Lu Ming activated the array of dark spirit beads, he successfully scared them away. Lu Ming searched for tens of thousands of miles, but he did not find a single elven tree spirit tree. Lu Ming's face was a little gloomy. The 9th level, as the highest level of the world, had the most vigorous life essence. It should have bred the most elven trees. Moreover, it was said that no one from the elves had reached the 9th level for 100 stellar years. There should be more elven trees on the 9th level. Why couldn't he find one after searching for so long? This did not make sense. Lu Ming did not believe it and continued to search. A few hours later, Lu Ming suddenly felt refreshed. He had found something. In a flash, Lu Ming appeared above a huge tree. On the branch of this tree, there was a fruit, exuding a rich life essence. A high-grade elven tree spirit tree. Lu Ming was overjoyed. Feeling the richness of the life essence, Lu Ming immediately judged that this was a high-grade elven tree spirit tree. Lu Ming peeled the fruit, and there was indeed a high-grade elven tree spirit tree inside. He did not expect that the first fruit he found on the 9th level was a high-grade elven tree spirit tree. Lu Ming took out a jade box and put it inside. In this way, Lu Ming had already obtained 12 advanced elven tree species and completed the mission given by Ling Huafeng. Of course, Lu Ming would not be satisfied with this. A high-grade elven tree seed would reward 1,000 elven wood cores, so naturally, the more the better. Lu Ming continued his search. After searching for half a day, Lu Ming still couldn't find a single low-level elven tree seed or an intermediate elven tree seed. However, Lu Ming found a high-level elven tree seed. I see. All the factors that could breed elven trees in this layer have been taken away by the advanced elven trees. Therefore, this layer can't breed low-level elven trees or intermediate elven trees. If it were to breed, it would only breed advanced elven trees. Bone speculated. That should be the case. Lu Ming also nodded. He had also thought of this point. Otherwise, there was no other explanation. But it was also good. All of them were breeding high-grade elven tree species. The number of high-grade elven tree species on this floor would definitely be shocking. Following this, Lu Ming became even more excited as he searched. Sure enough, the elven trees that he found were all high-level elven trees. 1, 2, 3. Lu Ming stayed on the 9th floor for half a month and almost searched the entire floor. In the end, He found a total of 38 high-level elven tree species. Yes, a total of 38, and all of them were high-level elven trees. In addition to the previous 11, there were a total of 49 high-level elven tree species. The smile on Lu Ming's face almost never disappeared. 49 high-level elven tree species. How much reward would the elves give? A total of 49,000 elven wood cores. Lu Ming was really afraid that he would take away all the elven wood cores of the elves. However, the elves only had slightly more than 100 mature high-level elven trees for countless years. If they saw that Lu Ming had brought out 49 high-level elven tree species, what kind of expression would they have? Anyway, with so many elven wood cores in his hands, Lu Ming was already very satisfied. He would use at most 1,000 elven wood cores to break through to the Divine Emperor realm. 40 to 50,000 elven wood cores were enough for him to use for a long time. Chapter 39:21. However, Lu Ming thought of a problem, and the smile on his face disappeared. There is actually a dimensional door, Lu Ming whispered. On the 9th floor, Lu Ming actually saw a vortex, which was a dimensional door. This was definitely not a dimensional door to go out, because it was very simple to go out. Just go back along the original path to the 1st floor and you can go out. Could this dimensional door lead to the next floor? According to the previous pattern, it was really possible. There were 9 entrances from the 1st floor to the 2nd floor. There were 8 entrances from the 2nd floor to the 3rd floor. All the way down, there were 2 entrances from the 8th floor to the 9th floor. Then, there was an entrance to the 9th floor, which was just in line with the pattern. Could there be a 10th floor? However, didn't the elves say that there was only a 9th floor? How could there be a 10th floor? Lu Ming was very curious. The harvest on the 9th floor was already so great. If there was a 10th floor, how great would the harvest be? Lu Ming was very tempted and planned to explore. But if there is a 10th floor, will the dark spirits be very terrifying? Can my current array of dark spirit beads deter them? Lu Ming was a little hesitant. Should he go back to the 8th floor to hunt more dark spirits? Whether there is a 10th floor or not, I still don't know. I will go and take a look first. Be careful. If I find that the dark spirits are too terrifying, I will immediately retreat. Lu Ming made a decision, then restrained his aura and stepped into the vortex. The next moment, Lu Ming appeared in a strange world. When Lu Ming looked around, he was a little stunned, because this world was completely different from the previous world. The previous world, no matter which world it was lush and full of vitality. But this world was completely different. There were stones everywhere, and it was dead silent. There was not a single plant to be found. How could this be? Lu Ming showed a puzzled look. The world after the 9th floor was not full of vitality, but dead silence. This was beyond Lu Ming's expectations. Lu Ming decided to take a good look. Lu Ming restrained his aura and flew out. However, as far as the eye could see, everything was deathly still. There was no sign of life. And in this world, there was no evil spirit tower, nor were there any evil spirits. It was as if Lu Ming was the only living being in this world. Behind the vibrant world was a dead world. What did this mean? Lu Ming was puzzled. However, he could not suppress the curiosity in his heart. He sped up and flew forward, determined to find out what was going on. After flying for several million miles, it was still deathly still. He didn't find any plants or living creatures. Could it be that this is a dead world? Lu Ming was a little disappointed. Originally, he thought that he would be able to gain a lot, but in the end, he found that there was nothing. That's not right. At this time, Lu Ming suddenly felt that something was wrong. He could vaguely sense wisps of life aura flowing in the air. This trace of life essence was very faint. If one didn't sense it carefully, they wouldn't be able to sense it. This life essence emerged from the ground and then flowed slowly in one direction. However, it was very faint and very slow. If one didn't sense it carefully, it would be easy to miss it. It seemed that this world wasn't completely lifeless. It was just that the life essence seemed to be attracted by something. Let's go take a look. Lu Ming was very curious. He spread out his spirit sense and flew in the direction where the life essence was gathering. In this way, Lu Ming flew for half a day. After half a day, Lu Ming finally saw a shocking scene. In front of him on the ground, there was a towering ancient tree. This was the only plant that Lu Ming saw in this world. However, this tree was too tall. It was more than 10,000 feet tall, and the crown of the tree covered the sky. From a distance, this ancient tree was shining with divine light. Every leaf was flowing with rich life essence. Between the branches, Lu Ming saw a fruit. No, it was two fruits. On the other side of the branch, Lu Ming saw two more fruits. The two fruits were emerald green and filled with extremely rich life essence. Compared to the life essence of the high-level elven tree that Lu Ming had obtained before, it was 10 times denser. No, it was 100 times denser. Lu Ming was dumbfounded. He couldn't believe it. This world was completely barren, but the first tree he saw was already so shocking. The key was, what level of elven tree was it? It far surpassed the high-level elven tree. Could it be the legendary holy seed of the elven race, the holy tree seed? Right, it must be the elven race's holy tree seed. There's no mistake. I just didn't expect it to give birth to two holy tree seeds. The bone demon's voice sounded, also full of surprise. I heard Ling Yue mention before that even if the elven holy tree seed was born, there would only be one. How could there be two? Lu Ming was also very surprised. This is very simple. No one has entered this world for too long. Moreover, this tree has undergone a mutation and absorbed the essence of the entire world. That's why it was able to give birth to the holy tree seed, and there are even two of them. Not only the holy tree seed, this tree is also extraordinary. If an elf can cultivate here for a period of time and fuse with a wisp of essence energy from the tree, there will definitely be an astonishing change. The bone demon explained. He flew out from between Lu Ming's eyebrows and carefully stared at the ancient tree in front of him, making many deductions. Two holy tree seeds. I wonder what kind of reward will be given to the elves. Lu Ming's eyes emitted a dazzling light. Give both of them to the elves, are you stupid? The bone demon disdained. If I don't give it to the elves, it's useless for me to keep it. Lu Ming said. How can it be useless? It's of great use. You can just hand over one of the two holy tree seeds. Keep the other one for yourself and find a way to nurture it in the future. If you nurture it to maturity, it will be very beneficial for your cultivation. If you want to establish a force, the benefits will be even greater. At the same time, you can allow countless people to cultivate under the tree and increase their cultivation. The bone demon said. Lu Ming pondered for a moment before nodding his head in the end. Although he didn't have the intention to establish a force now, it was hard to say in the future. Right now, it was just that his cultivation was still too low. In the future, when he was stronger, he could learn from Dark Knight Rose and establish a force to compete with the Heavenly Palace. It wasn't a bad choice. Keep it first. Lu Ming stepped out and came to the crown of the ancient tree. Huff huff. Rich life essence rushed toward Lu Ming like a gust of wind. Lu Ming waved his hand and broke through the life essence. He came to the bottom of a fruit and plucked it. With a stroke of his finger, the fruit was split open. Suddenly, a beam of green light shot into the sky. Extremely rich life essence burst out. Whoosh. Chapter 39:22. A sparkling and translucent seed flew out like a ray of light. It was very agile and wanted to escape. It still has spirituality? Lu Ming's eyes lit up. He used the greater divine wind technique. His body was wrapped in a gust of wind. In a flash, he chased after the seed. In a few flashes, he caught up with the seed. He condensed a large hand and grabbed at the seed. However, the seed was very agile. With a turn, it dodged Lu Ming's hand and rushed out from another direction. Interesting. Lu Ming smiled. His face was very calm. Everything was under his control. With a wave of his hand, a gust of wind blew between heaven and earth. The wind swept through heaven and earth. The surrounding territory was shrouded in the gust of wind. The gust of wind was like a wind wall. When the seed hit the gust of wind, it was directly bounced back. Then, the area covered by the gust of wind kept shrinking. In the end, it was only an area of 1 square meter. The seed tried to break out, but it was a pity that it couldn't break out. Now, let's see where you can run to. Lu Ming's face was full of smiles. He walked out from the gust of wind. He reached out and grabbed the seed. It was tightly controlled. Thereafter, Lu Ming took out a jade box and placed the seed of the sacred tree into it. He then took out a talisman and pasted it on the jade box. Immediately, A halo appeared and enveloped the jade box. This talisman had a sealing function. It was used to seal divine pills, divine weapons, and other items to prevent their spirituality from leaking. Lu Ming had killed countless opponents and obtained many storage rings. There were all kinds of things. There were also a lot of talismans used for sealing. After sealing it, he put it in a storage ring. Then, he came to the second fruit that gave birth to the seed. This time, Lu Ming was prepared. He shrouded the surroundings with a gust of wind. Even if the seed wanted to escape, it had nowhere to go. Then, Lu Ming broke open the fruit. As expected, once the fruit was broken open, the seed inside flew out. It wanted to escape, but it was easily captured by Lu Ming and sealed. 2 holy tree seeds. The quality seems to be about the same. I'll keep one for myself. Lu Ming kept one of the seeds of the holy tree into the Jingyu painting scroll. This was equivalent to his personal belongings. I wonder if there are any more holy tree seeds on the 10th level? Lu Ming's eyes shone, revealing a look of anticipation. Don't think about it. It's already a miracle to be able to give birth to 2 holy tree seeds. Only after exhausting the life essence of this world could it give birth. How could there be more? The bone demon stared. Lu Ming smiled awkwardly. However, he was still indignant and continued to search in this world. After knowing that there were no evil spirits in this world, Lu Ming became bolder. There was no need to control his speed. He used the Great Divine Wind technique to the extreme and flew at a high speed. In this way, his exploration speed was very fast. Within a few days, he had finished exploring the 10th level. In fact, other than the towering tree that nurtured the seed of the holy tree, there were no other plants. You're saying that this tree is very useful to the elves? Once again, he returned to the towering ancient tree that gave birth to the holy tree seed. Lu Ming asked the bone demon. It's definitely more useful than you can imagine. The bone demon answered with certainty. Then do you want to bring Ling Yue here and give her a stroke of good fortune? Lu Ming muttered. In the end, he decided to give Ling Yue a stroke of good fortune. Ling Yue's character was pretty good. The two of them had a pretty good relationship along the way. Moreover, he planned to hand over a holy tree seed anyway, so it wasn't a big deal to expose this ancient tree. Immediately, Lu Ming returned the way he came. From the 9th floor back to the 8th floor, and then back to the 7th floor. When he arrived at the 7th floor, Lu Ming stopped. He planned to look for Ling Yue here. Without the help of external forces, it would be rather troublesome to search. However, Lu Ming's luck was not bad. 2 days later, he actually met Ling Yue on the 7th floor. This was because before entering the elven ancestral land, Ling Yue had told him that her goal was the 7th floor. Although Ling Yue's cultivation wasn't very high, she had the bloodline of the elven royal family and was extremely intimidating to the evil spirits. At the same time, the other elven geniuses wouldn't attack her, so she could still barely move around on the 7th floor. Where have you been all this time? I've been looking for you everywhere, but I haven't been able to find you. Ling Yue stared at Lu Ming with hidden bitterness, but from the depths of her eyes, Lu Ming could still see deep worry. I've been looking for you everywhere too. Lu Ming lied with his eyes wide open. After he finished speaking, his tone changed as he said, Come with me, I've prepared a fortuitous encounter for you. You prepared a fortuitous encounter for me? What fortuitous encounter? Ling Yue revealed a curious expression. Come with me and you'll know. Lu Ming smiled and kept her in suspense as he walked towards the nearest entrance to the 8th floor. You're still playing mysterious with me? I'd like to see what kind of opportunity you've prepared. Ling Yue's gaze turned as she followed behind Lu Ming. Not long after, the two of them arrived in front of a whirlpool. This is the whirlpool that leads to the 8th floor. What are you doing? Are you going to the 8th floor? Let me tell you, the evil spirits on the 8th floor are extremely terrifying. Even my elven royal family bloodline is unable to intimidate them. Ling Yue hurriedly said, her eyes filled with disbelief. Just follow me. Do you think I'll harm you? Lu Ming smiled and walked towards the whirlpool. You bastard! Ling Yue gritted her teeth, but she was afraid that something would happen to Lu Ming, so she quickly followed and grabbed onto Lu Ming's arm. The two of them pulled each other together and reached the next level. They would definitely stay together. If they entered separately and entered the next level, there would still be a deviation in distance. They were afraid that something unexpected would happen. After reaching the 8th floor, Ling Yue was extremely nervous. Her eyes kept rolling around, as if she was afraid that an evil spirit would rush out. Mu Yun, this is the 8th floor. It's very dangerous. Let's go back. Ling Yue said. As for the opportunity that Lu Ming had mentioned, she no longer believed it. The opportunity would be on the 8th floor? How was this possible? How did Lu Ming know that there was an opportunity on the 8th floor? As for Lu Ming personally looking for it on the 8th floor, she didn't believe it at all. If Lu Ming was alone on the 8th floor, he would be torn to pieces by the evil spirits here. Why should I go back? I've been on the 8th floor for many days. It's fine, don't worry. Lu Ming smiled and stepped forward. Ling Yue followed closely behind Lu Ming, her eyes busy as she looked around. You've been on the 8th floor for many days. Don't lie to me. Do you think I'm a 3-year-old child that's easy to fool? Let's go back, Ling Yue said, extremely nervous. Chapter 39-23. Ling Yue was really nervous. She was the elven princess, so she understood the elven ancestral land too well. She was even more clear about how dangerous the 8th floor was. Even the top geniuses of the 3rd and 4th level of the Divine Emperor realm would be in great danger if they entered the 8th floor. If they encountered a large group of evil spirits, they would most likely die. With their strength, if they encountered an evil spirit, they would definitely die. It would be strange if she wasn't nervous. She stood at the side, glancing at Lu Ming from time to time with a resentful gaze. Lu Ming pretended not to see it and stepped forward, heading towards the entrance to the 9th floor. Roar! Roar! A terrifying roar rang out, and the evil spirits appeared. Moreover, as soon as they appeared, there were more than 10 of them. They flew towards Lu Ming and the others at an astonishing speed. Ling Yue's small face instantly turned deathly pale, without a trace of blood. Evil spirit, it's an evil spirit, let's go. Ling Yue cried out in alarm. Pulling Lu Ming's arm, she was about to run away. However, Lu Ming was here, not moving at all. Ling Yue was greatly suppressed here. Lu Ming was not suppressed, so she naturally could not pull Lu Ming away. However, at this moment, she didn't have the mood to wonder why she couldn't pull Lu Ming away. Right now, she was completely in chaos. Mu Yun, let's go, the evil spirits are here. Ling Yue shouted, on the verge of tears. However, Lu Ming stood there with a smile on his face, not moving at all. Lu Ming didn't leave, and she wouldn't leave by herself. Seeing that the dozen or so terrifying evil spirits were about to reach them, the cold aura caused goosebumps to rise all over their bodies. Scram! At this time, Ling Yue shouted and stepped forward, blocking in front of Lu Ming. She pushed the elf royal bloodline to the extreme, hoping to use the elf royal bloodline to intimidate these evil spirits. However, these evil spirits were all very powerful. Although they were still a little afraid of the elf royal bloodline, the fear in their eyes only flashed for a moment before it disappeared. They roared a few times and continued to pounce towards Lu Ming and Ling Yue. It's over. This was the only thought left in Ling Yue's mind. The elven royal bloodline could not intimidate these evil spirits. With their own strength, they would definitely die. However, at this moment, Ling Yue felt a strange aura spreading out from behind her, rushing forward. When those evil spirits were hit by this aura, their eyes were filled with terror. They screamed a few times and turned to run, disappearing in the blink of an eye. This. Ling Yue stood there in a daze, her mind a little muddled. What was going on? Why did those evil spirits suddenly flee in fear like mice meeting a cat? Then, she turned around and saw Lu Ming smiling at her. There were some round pearls floating above Lu Ming's head. The strange aura was coming from these round pearls. I've said it before, there's no need to be afraid. I've stayed on the 8th level for many days. Lu Ming repeated what he said before. This is a bead bred by an evil spirit? It can actually intimidate evil spirits. Where did you get it? After all, Ling Yue was a proud daughter of heaven. She quickly calmed down and stared at the evil spirit bead formation on Lu Ming's body. Ling Yue naturally knew about the evil spirit bead. In history, there were also elven geniuses who obtained the evil spirit bead from the evil spirits, but they never knew what use it had. I got it by chance in a place on the 5th floor. It's very useful. The evil spirits don't even dare to approach me. Lu Ming said. Of course, this was all nonsense from Lu Ming. Naturally, He wouldn't say that this was refined by the bone demon, nor would he say that he refined it himself. How could a young man like him refine such a treasure? The elves would definitely suspect him and ask him to hand over the refining method. Therefore, saying that he had accidentally picked it up was the best excuse. Picked it up? Could it be that it was developed by a genius of our elven race? Left behind in the 5th level? Ling Yue began to imagine for herself. Lu Ming did not explain further and continued to fly forward. This time, Ling Yue was much more at ease as she followed Lu Ming. On the way, they encountered a few evil spirits, but all of them were easily scared away by the evil spirit beads array formation. Especially once, when at least 100 evil spirits were scared away by the evil spirit beads array formation, Ling Yue was finally completely relieved. However, Ling Yue immediately thought of another question. Why didn't I see a single elven tree seed on the 8th floor? Mu Yun, did you really stay on the 8th floor for many days? Ling Yue asked. I've already said it several times. Lu Ming said. Then did you plunder all the elven tree seeds on the 8th floor? Ling Yue said, her big eyes filled with anticipation and excitement. N. Lu Ming nodded. Ling Yue's eyes immediately emitted a dazzling light. Then have you found all 12 high-level elven tree seeds? Then, he saw Ling Yue giggling foolishly. She was too happy. Lu Ming had completed his mission. This time, her father, her second uncle, and the others had nothing to say. Lu Ming had proven his value. He wouldn't let her marry someone from the angel race anymore, right? Soon, they arrived at another entrance. This is the entrance to the 9th floor? You're not going to the 9th floor, are you? Ling Yue's eyes widened again. Lu Ming nodded. You didn't stay on the 9th floor for many days, did you? N. Don't tell me you've obtained all the elven tree seeds on the 9th floor? N. Ling Yue stopped talking. Her entire person was in a daze. She instinctively followed Lu Ming into the 9th floor, then circled around and arrived at the entrance to the 10th floor. Only then did Ling Yue come back to her senses. Why is there another entrance? Where does this lead to? Ling Yue asked. Of course it's the 10th floor. Lu Ming replied. Ling Yue continued to be in a daze, her eyes wide open. She realized that she was more astonished today than before. All of this was brought about by Lu Ming. Not only did Lu Ming plunder all the elven tree seeds on the 8th and 9th floors, but there was also a 10th floor in the ancestral land of the elves. As the princess of the elves, she didn't know about this. What was on the 10th floor? Let's go. Lu Ming stepped out, and Ling Yue hurriedly followed. When the two of them arrived at the 10th floor and looked at the dead silent land, Ling Yue was stunned. This was completely different from what she had imagined. Lu Ming didn't care about her. Bringing Ling Yue with him, he quickly headed towards the ancient tree that was giving birth to the holy tree seed. Ling Yue suppressed the questions in her heart and followed Lu Ming. Finally, the towering tree appeared in front of them. This. Chapter 39-24. Ling Yue was simply too excited. As a member of the Elven royal family, she possessed the bloodline of the Elven royal family. The moment she saw this towering ancient tree, the bloodline in her body reacted and became abnormally excited. Could this be the holy seed mother tree that gave birth to the holy tree seed? When Ling Yue spoke, her voice trembled. Holy seed mother tree? Lu Ming was puzzled. That's right, it's the tree that gave birth to the holy tree seed. It's called the holy seed mother tree. As Ling Yue spoke, she looked at Lu Ming and said, Mu Yun Yu, could it be that you obtained the holy tree seed? That's right, I did obtain the holy tree seed. Lu Ming nodded his head. He had originally planned to hand one over, so there was no need to hide it. Ling Yue was petrified. Her entire body stiffened as she stared at Lu Ming with her big eyes. She was completely dumbfounded. She felt as if her thoughts had exploded and she couldn't control them anymore. The holy tree seed. It was actually the holy tree seed. Mu Yun had actually obtained the holy tree seed. This was something she would never have dreamed of in the past. It was simply too dreamy. However, the holy seed mother tree was right in front of her, so she had no choice but to believe it. After a while, Ling Yue took a deep breath and forced herself to calm down a little. However, she was still extremely excited. Lu Ming had actually obtained a holy tree seed. If he were to take it out, the entire elf clan would be alarmed. With such a great contribution, let's see what her father and second uncle had to say. Obtaining a seed of the holy tree was even more beneficial and powerful to the elves than obtaining the help of the angels. Relying on others was ultimately just relying on others. How much could he rely on? As for the holy tree seed, it would be able to nurture the elven holy tree in the future. The reason why the elf clan was ranked 33rd in the prehistoric 10,000 races was because they no longer had the elven holy tree. If they had the elven holy tree again, the strength of the elf clan would definitely increase greatly. As long as they had enough time, the elf clan would definitely enter the top 30. There was even a high chance of entering the top 20. This was a matter that concerned the rise and fall of a race. Lu Ming had obtained such a great merit, so who among the elves would oppose the marriage between the two of them? She definitely wouldn't have to marry an angel. This could be said to be perfect. It was hundreds of times more perfect than she had imagined. I feel that this tree will be helpful to you. What do you think? Is there any help? Lu Ming said. Of course it's helpful. Ling Yue nodded her head and said excitedly, the holy seed mother tree is very strange. Once the seed of the holy tree is taken away, it will naturally wither in 3 months. However, the holy seed mother tree contains an abundant amount of primordial essence qi. This primordial essence qi has an unimaginable effect on the elves. Once absorbed and refined, it will lead to a huge evolution. Ling Yue explained as she looked at the holy seed mother tree, her eyes revealing a blazing light. The holy seed mother tree was an opportunity that every elf looked forward to. It was a great fortune, and it was extremely useful to the elves. So that's how it is. Then it means that I didn't bring you here for nothing. Go and cultivate. There's still more than a month until the end of the examination. Hurry up, Lu Ming said. Thank you. Ling Yue stared at Lu Ming, staring straight at Lu Ming. No, just as Lu Ming was about to speak, Ling Yue pounced on him and kissed Lu Ming on the face. A burst of fragrance wafted over, causing Lu Ming to be stunned. What was going on? Big sister, don't misunderstand. Lu Ming roared in his heart. While Lu Ming was in a daze, Ling Yue had already flown towards the mother tree with a red face, leaving Lu Ming alone in the wind. Ling Yue arrived under the holy seed mother tree and sat down cross-legged. In the next moment, Ling Yue's body emitted a resplendent light, and a towering tree appeared behind Ling Yue. At this moment, the holy seed mother tree also emitted a myriad of multicolored light, resonating with Ling Yue. The light emitted by the two intertwined, becoming indistinguishable from each other. Slowly, Ling Yue's body actually moved towards the holy seed mother tree, and in the end, completely merged with the holy seed mother tree. Lu Ming could see that the light on the holy seed mother tree was constantly converging towards Ling Yue. Ling Yue was silently undergoing some changes. Time passed day by day. Very quickly. Nearly a month passed in the blink of an eye. At this time, the holy seed mother tree underwent a huge change. At this time, the holy seed mother tree had become withered and yellow. All of its essence, energy, and spirit had disappeared. Below, Ling Yue's body reappeared, but it was emitting a myriad of multicolored light. At the same time, a terrifying fluctuation spread out. Boom! A powerful aura burst out from Ling Yue's body. Second level of the Divine Emperor realm. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. Ling Yue's cultivation had actually reached the second level of the Divine Emperor realm. She had only broken through to the first level of the Divine Emperor realm not long ago, but now she had broken through to the second level of the Divine Emperor realm. This speed was absolutely astonishing. However, Lu Ming felt that Ling Yue's greatest change, her greatest gain, was not the increase in her cultivation, but the increase in her own body. Ling Yue had definitely undergone a qualitative change. Swish! At this time, Ling Yue opened her eyes. 2 emerald green arrows shot out from her eyes, directly piercing through space, causing 2 pitch-black passageways to appear in the air. Following that, Ling Yue soared into the sky and stood in midair, her body emitting a terrifying aura. This aura was not an aura emitted by one's cultivation base, but rather an aura of the essence. The aura of a superior being was like that of a fairy king, patrolling her people. Bloodline, has it evolved? Lu Ming whispered. She must have evolved. She has taken a big step closer to the original elves. This is the real elven emperor. In the future, her talent will be very terrifying. It will be very easy for her to cultivate the secret skills of the elves. The Bone Demon said. Even the bone demon used the word terrifying to describe Ling Yue. It was definitely not simple. Lu Ming revealed a smile. In any case, Ling Yue was a friend and not an enemy. The stronger she was, the better it would be for Lu Ming. At this time, the aura on Ling Yue's body was withdrawn, and she returned to her usual state. However, Lu Ming still faintly felt that Ling Yue had changed. The essence of life had changed. It was as if he had changed from a lower life form to a higher life form. Mu Yun, thank you. Ling Yue came in front of Lu Ming and sincerely thanked him. Only she knew how great of a fortune she had obtained. This Holy Seed Mother Tree was actually more useful than the legendary Holy Seed Mother Tree, allowing her to obtain an unimaginable harvest. The increase in her cultivation was secondary. The most important thing was that her talent had increased by a large amount. Her previous talent was already terrifying and was at the peak of the universe. How strong was she now? Chapter 39-25. Even Ling Yue herself couldn't figure out how strong her current talent was. This point needed to be slowly dug out in the future. In any case, she felt that it should be stronger than the blood azura that Xiao Wuji had transformed into. Of course, she didn't know that this Holy Seed Mother Tree had borne 2 holy tree seeds. Otherwise, she wouldn't have been puzzled. Alright, the 3-month period is almost up. Let's go back. Lu Ming said. Ling Yue nodded. Immediately, the two of them returned to the 9th floor. Not long after arriving at the 9th floor, they encountered a few powerful evil spirits. Just as Lu Ming was about to take out the evil spirit bead array, Ling Yue stopped Lu Ming. Let me do it. Ling Yue took a step forward, and a powerful aura spread out. This aura was high and mighty, many times higher than the elven royal bloodline. When those evil spirits were hit by this aura, they actually revealed an incomparably terrified expression. Then, they turned around and ran, disappearing without a trace in the blink of an eye. They ran even faster than when they encountered the evil spirit bead array. Amazing! Lu Ming exclaimed. It seemed that the bloodline in Ling Yue's body had evolved to an extremely high level. In the future, Ling Yue alone would be able to come and go freely in this ancestral land. Ling Yue also nodded in satisfaction. She retracted her aura and looked the same as before. After that, there was nothing left for Lu Ming. As soon as they encountered an evil spirit, Ling Yue released her aura and those evil spirits immediately fled. Soon, they returned to the 8th floor, and then the 7th floor. Almost all the people on the 7th floor had left. After all, the time was almost up. Once the terrifying evil spirits sleeping in the evil spirit tower woke up in 3 months, they wouldn't be able to leave even if they wanted to. Their journey was unimpeded. Finally, they left the elven ancestral land and returned to your palace. Numerous gazes swept over Lu Ming and Ling Yue. They were all the geniuses of the elven race. Lu Ming also looked around and found that the number of elven race geniuses was a little less than when he entered. Obviously, in addition to the few who were killed by Lu Ming, many others had also died in the elven ancestral land. This was good too. No one would suspect him. They waited here for a few days. A few days later, the 3-month period officially arrived. Alright, the 3 months are up. Now, follow me back to the palace. I'll count your gains and give you your rewards. One of the elven elders who had brought them here said. After that, Lu Ming and the others followed the 2 elven elders back to the elven palace and arrived at a huge hall. At this moment, there were already many people in the main hall. Lu Ming glanced around and saw a middle-aged man from the elf tribe sitting at the very top. Although he was sitting casually, he exuded a majestic aura. There were many people on both sides of the hall. There were middle-aged men and white-haired old men. Greetings, Your Majesty. Many elven prodigies bowed to the middle-aged man at the top. Only then did Lu Ming know that the middle-aged man was the emperor of the elven race, Ling Yue's father. Most of the elves in the hall were the upper echelons of the elves. There were elven elders and elven big shots with great power. Ling Yue's second uncle, Ling Huafeng, was also present. As for Ling Yue's cousin, Ling Piao, her cousin, she was also in the hall, sitting behind Ling Huafeng. All of you, get up. I believe you have all gained a lot. Today, all the elders of the treasure repository are here. As long as you take out the elven tree seed, we can immediately give you your rewards. Elf Emperor Ling Huashua said. Many elven prodigies' eyes immediately lit up. The treasure repository was the place where the elves stored their treasures. In the past, after the holy seed examination ended, they would first count the elven tree seed and register it before giving out rewards in the future. They didn't expect that this time, it would be given out on the spot. Naturally, the sooner he got the reward, the better. The more at ease he would feel. If he didn't get it, it wouldn't be his. Who knew what would happen? Take out all the elven tree seeds you have obtained. This time, my treasure repository has brought enough elvenwood hearts to give you rewards. An elder of the treasure repository said. All right, let's start counting. Elf Emperor Ling Huashua waved his hand and gave the order. I'll do it. Immediately, a young elven man stepped forward and came to the center of the hall. Then, he took out a storage ring. The storage ring lit up, and then a few jade boxes flew out and flew towards the elders of the treasure repository. A few elders of the treasure repository waved their hands, and a wave of divine power spread out, dragging the jade boxes. One of the elders stepped forward and opened the jade boxes one by one. As soon as the first jade box was opened, a rich life essence spread out. One low-level elven tree seed. A treasure repository elder nodded and opened the second jade box. One low-level elven tree seed. One low-level elven tree seed. The elders of the treasure repository began to count one by one. In the end, the young man obtained a total of 7 low-level elven tree seeds. A total of 7 low-level elven tree seeds. Each low-level elven tree seed will be rewarded with 10 elven wood hearts. A total of 70 elven wood hearts will be rewarded. The elder of the treasure repository announced. Immediately, a female elder of the treasure repository waved her hand, and elvenwood hearts flew out one by one and flew towards the young man. A total of 70 elvenwood hearts were rewarded on the spot. The young elven man was overjoyed. He quickly put them away and thanked the elders of the treasure repository and the elf emperor. Of course, the 7 elven tree seeds were put away by the elders of the treasure repository. The elven tree seeds would be stored in the treasure repository first, and they would be cultivated and planted together in the future. After the young man finished counting, a second young man immediately stepped forward. The second person obtained 9 low-level elven tree seeds and 90 elvenwood hearts as a reward. The elves who received the reward all smiled. 70 to 90 elvenwood hearts was not a small number. Usually, it was not so easy to obtain elvenwood hearts. This could be seen from Hua Xing's pained expression when he lost 100 elvenwood hearts to Lu Ming. Next, the elven prodigies took out their elven tree seeds and counted them. However, most of them were low-level elven tree seeds. From a few to more than a dozen, all of them. Of course, the ones who stepped forward at the beginning were those with lower cultivation bases. As time went on, the elves with higher cultivation bases slowly stepped forward. Slowly, some elven prodigies took out mid-level elven tree seeds, making many people envious. You want to wait? Ling Yue secretly sent a voice transmission to Lu Ming. It's not too late to wait a little longer. Lu Ming smiled. All right, then I'll go count them first. Ling Yue nodded and stepped forward. Chapter 39-26. Seeing Ling Yue step forward, many people's eyes lit up as they began to discuss in low voices. I wonder how the princess's harvest was? How many elven tree seeds did you get? The princess has the bloodline of the elven royal family, and is very intimidating to evil spirits. She should be able to gain quite a bit. Someone saw him walk to the 7th level. I wonder if he obtained a high-grade elven tree seed. Many people's gazes fell on Ling Yue, including Ling Huafeng, Ling Piao, and the others. In fact, when Ling Piao and the others saw that Lu Ming had returned safely, their eyes flashed with a cold light and their expressions were very ugly. They had secretly made a lot of preparations. They had originally thought that Lu Ming would definitely not be able to return and would definitely die in the elven ancestral land. Who would have thought that Lu Ming would actually be fine? As for the few elven geniuses who had secretly followed their orders, they did not return. What was going on? For a moment, they couldn't understand. However, even if they were beaten to death, they wouldn't believe that Lu Ming had killed them. They only thought that something unexpected had happened in the elven ancestral land. However, they were still very relieved. They believed that it was impossible for Lu Ming to complete their mission. Princess, please. An elder of the treasure trove bowed slightly. Ling Yue nodded and waved her hand. Jade boxes flew out one by one. Each jade box was a elven tree seed, and there were a total of 29 of them. 29 jade boxes, at least 29 elven tree seeds. The princess's harvest is not small. It's indeed not small. Even if the 29 elven tree seeds are all low level, it's still not a small harvest. Many people were secretly discussing, and a treasure trove hall elder had already begun to count. The first 12 were all low-level elven tree seeds. When the 13th jade box was opened, an even denser life essence burst out. Many people's eyes lit up. It's a mid-level elven tree seed. Someone exclaimed. One mid-level elven tree seed. The treasure trove hall elder nodded and continued to count. In the end, Ling Yue's gains were all accounted for. 25 low-level elven tree seeds and 4 mid-level elven tree seeds. A total of 650 elven tree hearts were rewarded. Many people's eyes lit up. All of a sudden, they obtained 650 elven tree hearts. This was a huge harvest, and many people were extremely envious. Ling Yue, on the other hand, was expressionless. She accepted the reward and calmly retreated. There was no sign of joy on her face. She was aware of Lu Ming's gains. Compared to Lu Ming, her gains paled in comparison. They were not worth mentioning at all. The count continued. Following that, the people who went up to count their spoils gained more and more. Many people had obtained mid-level elven tree seeds. Time gradually passed. The number of people left gradually dwindled. In the end, only the top geniuses were left. Until now, there had been no high-level elven tree species. Ling Huashua and the other high-ranking members of the elf tribe looked at the remaining prodigies with anticipation. Low-level elven tree species and mid-level elven tree species were good, but they didn't play a vital role in the development of the entire elven race. B. Ho Shui is going up. I wonder how her gains are. Ho Shui must have reached the 7th level. I wonder if she obtained a high-level elven tree seed. Many people were discussing animatedly, and the higher-ups of the elves also revealed looks of anticipation. It's her. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. He knew this woman. She was the woman who had competed with Lu Ming for a high-level elven tree seed on the 7th level. Later on, she was defeated by Lu Ming and wanted to cooperate with Lu Ming. She was the woman who left after being rejected by Lu Ming. Ho Shui directly took out her gains. There were more than 50 jade boxes. Many people were secretly amazed. All of a sudden, she took out more than 50 jade boxes. What a great harvest. Not bad. The treasure vault elder nodded and began to count. In the end, Ho Shui had a total of 45 low-level elven tree seeds and 10 mid-level elven tree seeds. What a shocking harvest. However, Ling Huashua, the treasure vault elder, and the others all revealed disappointed expressions. That's all. Is there anything else? The treasure vault elder asked. What they were hoping for was a high-level elven tree seed. There's more. Unexpectedly, Ho Shui nodded. The eyes of Ling Huashua and the other elves immediately lit up. Also, could it be a high-level elven tree seed? They saw another jade box appear in Ho Shui's hand. This jade box was bright and could be seen at a glance that it was extraordinary. The treasure vault elder took it and opened it. Suddenly, an incomparably rich life essence burst out. The entire hall was suddenly filled with rich life essence. High-level elven tree seed. Ling Huashua and the others' eyes lit up, and a smile appeared on their faces. It was really a high-level elven tree seed. Only this level of elven tree seed could attract their attention. The other elves' youths all revealed envious expressions. High-level elven tree seed. One reward of 1,000 elven tree hearts was really too tempting. All of Ho Shui's rewards added up was simply amazing. A smile also appeared on Ho Shui's face. The reward this time was enough for her to use for a long time. What a pity. Ho Shui's gaze swept towards Lu Ming. Unfortunately, Lu Ming took away a high-level elven tree seed. Otherwise, her harvest would be even greater. Ho Shui took her reward and retreated. Then, someone else went up to count. However, although the remaining elves were all top prodigies of the elves, not all of them had obtained high-level elven tree seeds. In fact, when the remaining elves were counted, there were only a total of 4 high-level elven tree seeds. Only 4. Ling Huashua and the others' faces were very ugly. They were very dissatisfied with this harvest because it was not as good as before. In the past, The high-level elven tree seeds they obtained each time would not be less than 5. Why were there only 4 this time? All right, I've finished checking this time. Go back and cultivate well, the treasure vault elder said. Wait. At this moment, a voice sounded. It was Lu Ming. Lu Ming was a little speechless. He hadn't counted yet. How could it be over? He originally wanted to save it for the finale, but he didn't expect that he would be ignored. At this moment, many people's eyes looked at Lu Ming. Previously, everyone's eyes were on the top prodigies of the elves. Lu Ming had not gone up to count. These people really ignored him. Mu Yun, I thought you didn't have any harvest and didn't dare to come out to count. Ling Piao let out a contemptuous laugh. Chapter 39:27. Actually, Ling Huashua, Ling Huafeng, and Ling Piao had been paying attention to Lu Ming. When they saw that Lu Ming had not come out to count, they thought that Lu Ming was too embarrassed to take it out because his harvest was too little. Especially Ling Piao, she thought that she would definitely be able to chase Lu Ming away this time. She didn't expect that at the last moment, Lu Ming would walk out. Mu Yun, if your harvest is not enough, then don't take it out. I can make the decision to give you 1,000 elven wood cores. Take those elven wood cores and leave the elven race. Ling Piao continued. It was as if he was sending away a beggar, wanting to send Lu Ming away. Many elves revealed expressions of envy and jealousy towards Lu Ming. Just because they had hooked up with Ling Yue, they were able to obtain 1,000 elven wood cores without any harvest, causing them to be extremely jealous. Mu Yun hasn't counted yet. What are you in such a hurry for? Ling Yue looked at Ling Piao indifferently and said, You still want to count? Yue, I'm doing this for his own good, so that he won't lose face in front of everyone, but you don't know how to appreciate my kindness, sigh. Ling Piao deliberately sighed. How do you know that he will lose face? Maybe Mu Yun has already obtained 12 high-level elven tree seeds. Ling Yue said, Puchi. At the scene, someone couldn't help but laugh out loud. However, as soon as he laughed out loud, he held it back and his face flushed red. Ling Yue was the elven princess. The elven emperor was also present at the scene. Even if Ling Yue said something unreliable, they couldn't laugh at Ling Yue. Otherwise, the elven emperor would lose face. However, Ling Piao was still a member of the royal family, and there were very few people in the royal family. Therefore, Ling Piao's status in the elven race was also very high, equivalent to a princess. She wasn't afraid. She laughed out loud and said, Yue, if you want to protect him, you have to be rational. Fortunately, everyone here is on our side. Otherwise, we would have attracted a joke. All right, I think Piao's suggestion is not bad. Big brother, I also propose to give Mu Yun 1,000 elven wood cores and let him leave the elven race. As for the elven tree seeds that he obtained, let him take them away. There's no need to count them. What do you think? Huafeng spoke and looked at Ling Huashua. Ling Huashua hesitated for a moment. Are you sure you can let me take away the elven seed? Don't regret it. Lu Ming looked at Ling Huafeng with a faint smile. I never regret my words. Ling Huafeng said. No, I must count them. This time, it was Ling Yue's turn to be uneasy. She knew that not only did Lu Ming have a large number of advanced elven tree seeds, but he also had holy tree seeds. This was too important to the elven race, as it would affect their future. If Lu Ming really took away such a treasure, it wouldn't be good for Lu Ming either. This was because the elves would definitely do anything to take it from Lu Ming. At that time, it would be even more dangerous for Lu Ming. Therefore, whether it was for Lu Ming or for the elves, Ling Yue had to stop him. Father, you must count them. Believe me, I won't let you down. Ling Yue eagerly looked at Ling Huashua with a pleading expression. All right, let's count them. In the end, Ling Huashua nodded. Humph, you're really asking for humiliation. Ling Piao snorted coldly. Of course, she only snorted coldly in her heart. Since Ling Huashua had already spoken, she naturally didn't dare to say it in public. Mu Yun, let's count them. Ling Yue looked at Lu Ming again with an eager expression. Lu Ming nodded. Actually, he didn't really have the intention to take away the elven tree seed. Even if he took it away, it wouldn't be of much use. He didn't know the method to cultivate the elven tree. Moreover, he already had a holy tree seed, which was enough for him to use in the future. Even if he brought ordinary elven tree seeds with him, it would be useless. Of course, exchanging for the elvenwood heart would be more useful to him. Lu Ming stepped out and arrived in front of the elder of the treasure trove hall. In the hall, many of the elven geniuses looked at Lu Ming with schadenfreude, wanting to see Lu Ming make a fool of himself. Lu Ming was expressionless as he calmly took out a storage ring. Then, the storage ring lit up and a large pile of jade boxes flew out. There were about 200 of them. 200 jade boxes floated in the air. It was simply dazzling. Everyone was stunned. So many jade boxes. Could it be that each jade box contains an elven tree seed? Impossible. Absolutely impossible. This Mu Yun isn't even a divine emperor. How could he obtain so many elven tree seeds? He probably took them randomly. I bet that most of his jade boxes are empty. Sensationalism. What a joke. In the hall, waves of discussion sounded out. Ling Huafeng, Ling Piao, and the others sneered. Did he think that taking out a large pile of jade boxes would be useful to scare them? Did he think that they were scared? Ridiculous. Elder, let's begin. Lu Ming's expression remained calm as he said to the elder of the treasure trove hall. The elder of the treasure trove hall was also somewhat confused. More than 200 jade boxes really contained elven tree seeds. To be honest, he didn't believe it at all. Previously, even the most powerful prodigy of the elf tribe didn't obtain so many elven tree seeds. Lu Ming was just a quasi-emperor. How could he obtain so many? However, he still had to do his job well. Immediately, he grabbed a jade box and began to count. He opened the lid of the jade box, and suddenly, a rich life essence filled the air. There really is one. It's a low-level elven tree seed. Many people's eyes flickered, and they were a little surprised. There really is one. The elder of the treasure trove hall was also slightly stunned. He didn't expect that out of more than 200 jade boxes, one of them would really contain an elven tree seed. At this point, he still didn't believe that more than 200 jade boxes contained elven tree seeds. He just happened to be lucky and caught one. In fact, many people thought so, including Ling Piao and the others. Humph, you're just lucky. Sensationalism. You'll be exposed sooner or later. Let's see how you deal with this later. Ling Piao sneered in her heart, waiting to see Lu Ming make a fool of himself. At this moment, the elder of the treasure trove hall grabbed the second jade box and opened it. Immediately, another rich life essence filled the air. Another low-level elven tree seed. Many people were stunned. Luck, it must be luck. Many people told themselves, my luck is not bad. The elder of the treasure trove hall nodded in his heart. Then, he grabbed the third jade box and opened it. It was another low-level elven tree seed. The third one. This time, many people were dumbfounded and didn't dare to judge. It's impossible, it must be luck. Ling Piao roared in her heart. Her expression slowly changed from one of schadenfreude to one of watching a good show to one of gloom. You're tuning in to the Xueqi's Martial Arts Saga YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.